Hello there, everyone. Welcome to episode 109 of the Play to Win podcast, a show where we break down the week's biggest gaming news through in-depth discussion. This is the final episode of the Play to Win podcast. It's been a long road getting here, a long time coming. I'm your host, Tyler, and I'm joined, of course, by my co-host here, Mr. Tyler as well. How are you doing, dudes? The final time we're going to be here like this.
I'm so honored to be on the last episode, 199. No, I had to keep the bid alive for one more episode.
You did. I'm surprised you didn't do it before we started recording.
I know. I was like, I didn't want to be rude on the last episode and cut him off. So I was like, I should have hijacked it. And when you said 1, and I was like 99.
How you doing?
I'm all right. We had some good. I got a place to live, so that's always good news.
Nice.
Like what I want and everything. I told you about that. So I'm in a good mood this week, even though it's been a little stressful. It's like a good on the end here. And yeah, now this is just one of those bittersweet things. There's always going to be a last time you do everything. So it's weird that this is the last time we do this, but don't worry, people. I will be on. I just feel like I was born to talk shit in front of a camera about video games and pop culture. So I will be. It's like in the MCU movies, Tyler will return. Trust me. Follow me along. I'll be cranking out content nonstop in 3 weeks, whenever I get my own place and get the new stew set up. So
where can they see that stuff?
Which get the fucking plugs out the way. Nobody listens till the end anyways. Good Game We Lost, baby. TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, of course, probably the one where I have the biggest following. So yeah, I'll be cranking out content. Probably, I mean, it sucks because I wish it was better timed with like right after all the summer showcase stuff, but it is what it is. I'll just be making it about whatever, and it'll be a fun time. And hopefully one of these days I'll have a podcast up and running again. But it's like harder to get an audience that way than just making short videos. I can't say that it'll be number one. And there's also multiple people. I don't like I respect Jeff Gerstmann so much because of how good his podcast is with just him. But it's like, it's so hard, man, to just do it solo. Like, it's just so much easier to just make videos. So I don't know when the podcast will be back up, but I'll definitely be cranking out content takes about everything. Here in a couple weeks. So I'll be back. I'll return, but it'll be bittersweet not getting to do this, even though I have to wake up early as shit Saturday.
It's going off what you said as well. As you said, the MCU tag at the end, Tyler will return. This Tyler will also return in some capacity. I mean, I talked about it before, but I'm going to be going back to my blog, kind of reviving that in a way. The comfyspot.wordpress.com. Going to be planning to do YouTube as an extension of that in some way, shape, or form. So that's all going to be happening sometime in the coming weeks as well. I'll do something like right with all these summer showcases happening with Xbox right around the corner, Summer Game Fest, Jeff Keighley's thing right around the corner. I would like to do something, at least write something or maybe a video take of some sort for those. But in the immediate future, right after, the podcast is wrapped up, closed out and everything, I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll just take like a few weeks as like a mental reset break, type deal where it's like, all right, I could rest, relax, don't have to stress or worry about pushing stuff out and all like that. I might take the time to do that before Final Fantasy 16 comes out. And then, I kind of start playing that because definitely do want to review that in some way, shape, or form. But I will return as well in some capacity. But it has definitely been a blast doing the podcast for these 109 episodes. In the past, how many did we say it was? You and I think it's been like 30.
It's been, I think, since late October, or was it early November? Either way.
Yeah, it's been like 30 or so episodes or so.
We're coming in on like almost 7 months for sure.
Yeah, it's been a lot. So doing it the past couple months with you has been a whole lot of fun as well. As you and I talked about it before, the different dynamic, the different energy that Kieran and I have, and the dynamic that you and I have. It's a different type of dynamic, different type of energy, and I enjoyed it all.
Anybody
It's
that
been
was
a lot of
tuning in for
fun.
the informationalness was tuned out the second I showed up.
Once Tyler came in, he was like, "All right,
It
I'm
became more
here
of
to."
a production as far as just, over the topness for sure.
He's like, "I'm here to make fun of games and make fun of
I'm here to talk
companies."
shit. Like I said, I was born to talk shit in front of a camera with a microphone.
But I tried my best. I tried my best to keep you reined in
Yeah,
some,
no.
rein you in
Yeah,
some as
that's
best I can without being like, "Don't do this ever." You
no,
know,
I know. It's been fun. Yeah.
it's been a blast. And for those who are wondering, hey, you said Kara was gonna be here. Where is he? Unfortunately, could not be here because he had some other stuff he had to take care of in regards to the house that he was working on and everything like that. He has some stuff to take care of with that. So unfortunately, was not able to be here. But be that as it may, he still wishes us the best in terms of rounding out the show, closing it out. And yeah, it's been a great one. So with all that said, it is bittersweet, but let's have one last final fun episode before we get all sad and sappy leaving this
Let's
thing
talk
out.
our shit, baby. Tony,
Yeah.
what the fuck were you doing?
So this week we had a PlayStation showcase. It happened. They gave us a showcase to round out the Play to Win podcast. And for the most part, across the board, many people are not too happy with it. I am not one of those very negative people on it. I think it was actually I think it was a good show. Great at best. Good is where I would say, reasonably, it was pretty good. Even still, it was disappointing. It definitely was disappointing from the aspect of first party announcements. They definitely dropped the ball there. Now, before you specifically start ragging on it, I want to go into this, announcement by announcement, game by game, talk about what we saw here, give our takes on it as we go. Okay, we could do that.
Yeah, oh yeah, we can do it. If you wanna go detailed before we go broad level view, like macro of like, okay, this is everything going on. We can go micro first. That's fine. We can be detailed before I just generally shit on Sony for the whole mentality going through.
Well, let's start off with the first announcement of the showcase, that being this game called Fairgames. The first announcement of the show was from Haven Studios, Jade Raymond's company. They got acquired by Sony last year. This is the game that they've been working on. Yeah, we got a CG trailer for it. It showed a crew of 3 people breaking into this place to steal from the rich, and they ended up fighting another crew that's also trying to steal stuff. Reading from the PlayStation blog post about the game, they describe it as, quote, a thrilling competitive heist game where you join an underground movement to rob the ultra rich and rebalance the scales. They also say that Fairgames came from a desire to create a new type of PvP game with emergent sandbox gameplay. We want to deliver a fresh multiplayer experience that rewards creativity and mastery and delivers surprising stories each and every time you play. All we know right now in terms of release info, it's coming to PS5 and PC. We don't have a date, no year, no none of that. We don't have any of that information. Just a PS5 PC game. And I thought that I think the game is interesting. Okay, let me say that. I think, yes, it was a CG trailer, and I know we tend to look down on CG trailers as like the gaming community as a whole. I I tend to take issue with CG trailers when it's like that's we keep seeing CG trailers for a game, or when the CG trailer kind of tells us nothing about what the game is or what we could expect from the game. If a CG trailer like this one kind of gives you an idea of, okay, this is the type of game it is, this is the type of gameplay we might expect, I don't necessarily have an issue with it, especially if that's the announcement trailer. So with this one, I was like, okay, where it's going to be clearly a 3v3, well, 3-person, 3-team type of game, where you're going up against other people, doing heist type thing. I got that vibe from it. I was like, all right, cool. Looking forward to seeing gameplay. I wish we got more information though from this because it seemed pretty short.
The year is 2023. CG trailers are officially only okay for single player games. If you are about to put out a Ubisoft ass fucking 1.5 minute CG trailer for a multiplayer game, get the fuck out of here. Throw it in the trash and start again. Okay. Also, Kyle Bossman roasted this game more than I ever could have, but the general sentiment was like, you undid your own premise of this game within like this actual trailer, which is like if everybody's trying to end the rich and get back, like you would team up with the other poor people, not try and fight the other people that are also trying to steal from the rich. It's a dumb fucking premise. I don't give a shit about this game. I understand that live service games are popular, but Sony, this is going to be like I I don't even think that the approach necessarily is wrong because they're just doing what Microsoft is doing as a whole, which is like buying out studios and throwing things at the wall. But here's the thing, and I've said this before: stop chasing that dragon. Like, I
Mhm.
just don't believe that you're like it's so hard to upend and like we talked about this with the live service stuff when other games were failing that I think companies are just going to be chasing this dragon and you're not going to be able to do it. You're not going to unseat the Apexes, the Fortnites, the Call of Duty, the War Zones. Like those entrenched games are entrenched. Like I don't think any of them are dropping out. And so the expectation that you're ever going to be more than like a moderate success to me is just dumb, and it really is just chasing something that doesn't exist. So the fact that this is half of Sony's game plan, I mean, it's a little worrying. I'm not like sky is falling, like they can recover if they mess it up, but like doesn't make me feel like we might just waste the next 6 years of fucking PlayStation, like semi waste it. Yeah, like it does. This shit sucks.
I I don't necessarily share that same sentiment, that same, I guess, yeah, the same sentiment. I do think there could definitely be room for concern, room for pause in terms of like, going down the live service route. I wonder how that's gonna go. I hope it's not like wasted money, wasted endeavor in the end. Um, but I don't know. Call me
For me, it's more the
the
opportunity cost than money itself, right? Like
yeah,
Sony, so like I don't give a shit if Sony loses money. Like I'm not here to cheerlead Sony. Like, is it my console of preference and would it suck if there's just not games I don't want to play on it? Yes, but it's more the opportunity cost of like, okay, another that like you could have been instead financing a fun game that you guys are known to make the good single player AAA budget ones, or even like I think they're good at all levels of it. They've just mostly been interested in AAA stuff.
yeah.
And it's like if those games aren't getting made because you're chasing this shit, that's what irritates me. If you want to flush your own money, if this wants to be on top of the other stuff, that's one thing. And I'm not saying it'll all go away, but man, it's gonna suck if instead of getting like 20 efforts this generation, and that's just a number. I'm not, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't do the math on what it was last year. But if it was gonna be 20 games, but now it's 10 and 10, 10 live service, 10 big, AAA single players, and that sucks. Like I'd rather just have the 20 and then you throw your extra money on top for the live service stuff. And again, like I know we're still getting like Wolverine's still coming. It's just a bummer that like really we don't have more Wolverine footage to throw in instead of like this fucking game. Like I'm not gonna throw shade at Marathon because people pop for Bungie. And we'll talk about that whenever we get there. There are some more worthwhile ones, but for this specifically, you cannot convince me that this was more worth it than throwing another like a 1.5 minute Wolverine cinematic.
Fair. That's a fair perspective to have on it. I don't know. Call me the hopeless optimistic though. The hopeless optimist. Where I'm just like I
Good
look for
news
the
for
best.
Xbox though, I don't think there's a way in which I don't give them a better score.
I I think that's a very fair assessment to make because I kind of felt the same way. And like I said, I don't think it's not because I think this was a bad showcase. I don't think it was a bad showcase. I think it was a good show here. But because the ball was dropped from Sony first party pretty hard here after a year and a half of waiting for a showcase from them, it's like, okay, like this was just like a disappointment for sure. And Xbox, you can't, it's a low bar to pass now for Xbox to,
Yeah, like I'm not gonna
come
you
out on
won't catch
top.
me dunking on like indie titles or anything like that. And a lot of them look good. It's not their job to like it's not their fault they got put in a bad spot. Like, you're clearly a bench player being asked to play starter minutes here. Like that's not your fault. This is all on Sony. Like you didn't bring the heat from
Mhm.
what you're making. Like also just why even have this showcase? Nobody was like, "Oh my god, if Sony doesn't make a showcase, people are going to stop buying PS5s." Like nobody was thinking that. You could have done a quick state of play, showed us Spider-Man fucking Snake Eater, like maybe one of these dumbass multiplayer things instead of all of them, and then just a couple indies, like have made it a 15-20 minute state of play, we'd all been like, yeah, that's pretty much what we should have expected. Like, would it have been pop? No, but then it would have been on us for unrealistic expectations instead of them setting this. Every other showcase has been a banger.
Yeah. Let's keep going though. We got Helldivers 2 next. That's a sci-fi game here. I've actually never played Helldivers. I know people have been looking forward to Helldivers 2 for a while.
Greg Miller specifically.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people talk about it. I was like, what the heck is that game? But then the trailer came on, and I was like, okay, this seems like it could be fun, pretty cheeky, pretty funny and all. It's giving me basically Starship Troopers, but in video game format. And I think that's fun. I think it looks cool. It's coming to PS5 and PC this year, apparently. Um, I'm into it. I don't know how hard I'll be on it, like playing it and all, but I do think I want to play this game. It looks like it could be a fun time, a fun multiplayer co-op shooter where you just like turn your brain off and just like destroy aliens or like fauna from other planets because you have to spread democracy and justice the super earth way. Really stupid. It's
Yeah,
silly.
the humor does nothing for me. It's not really my like. I think it's a little played out, but I mean, I'm always down for third person shooters. Helldivers 1 was top down. I think it's
Okay.
smart to do the camera change and to do the perspective change because someone like me, top down, might have been like, that's what I want. Now I'm like, maybe I will play that. That's
Yeah.
I'm definitely the target demo for that Switch. So
Mhm.
I probably will play it. I'll be honest, unless it just launches like during a brutal week where there's other stuff that just is gonna pull my attention. But unless that happens, I'm most likely gonna be playing this bad boy.
And after that, we got Immortals of Avium, a new trailer for that, which I'm not going to talk about it much. We got a new, saw some new abilities, saw some cool new boss
This,
fights. It continues to look awesome and it continues to
yeah,
impress.
I still am excited for this game. What I will say is this was the turning point where I was starting to be like, oh no, like they're coming out not with the heat. Is this something to be worried about? I was trying to convince myself that's coming later. That was
Yeah.
a mistake.
After we started with Haven, I'm like, okay, cool. And then we got a couple more announcements in without first party. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, where's the first party stuff? I was like, oh, maybe it's gonna be like, maybe it's just we're gonna have a first party section later on, and that kind of never happened, really, unfortunately.
It is ironically enough though, like if you look at the announcements, this was probably these next 4 or 5 were probably the real. It was the best portion of the showcase.
Potentially, depending on who you're asking. And again, I like I keep saying, I think everything here was pretty good. I really liked all the games that
Well,
we saw
almost
here.
everything. We'll talk about
Yes.
Foamstars in a minute.
I like just about everything that we saw here. I thought everything that we, for the most part, that we saw here was pretty good, pretty interesting, pretty fun. But again, Sony first party dropped the ball. So after Immortals, we got a trailer for Ghostrunner II. That's coming this year. I never played the first one, but this one, I mean, I thought the first one always looked cool. I just haven't got around to playing it, but the second one looks like it's even more of the first one in terms of stylish badassery, cyberpunk, cyberkinetic ninja type stuff. And I'm just like, yo, this
Yeah.
looks awesome. This looks wild. And I wonder, like, is this your type of game?
Yeah, I wanted to play it. I never did. My brother played it for the previous Good Game We Lost pod.
Mhm.
And he reviewed it and everything. He really enjoyed it. And so yeah, this one it got a mini pop for me. I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. The motorcycle looks sick.
Yes.
So yeah, I'll probably give this a try. These are the kind of games again that's very dependent on like, okay, well, is there something better launching near you? That might pull me away. But if not, if you've got a strategic release, I will probably play it.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely want to get on this one. And I have the first one as well from PlayStation Plus in my library. So like
Yeah,
it's just a
same.
matter of time to play that one and then jump into this if the time arrives for, when this comes out. Then after that, this one came up. Phantom Blade Zero. And I was like, this kind of seems like a Tyler game. It kind of seems like a Tyler
Yeah, it looks
game.
rad.
Uh
It fooled me for the first 3 seconds because that like that shot in the beginning of like the like lantern or like light looks
yeah.
super similar to a section in Bloodborne.
Oh
And I was like,
man.
I thought for like half a second we were getting a Bloodborne 2 announcement, and then it wasn't. And I was like trying not to be disappointed. But honestly, this game looks sick. So like,
Yeah.
not on its fault for having just like a very similar asset for half a second. That's on my dumb ass for being that hopeful. It's something that cool would be here. But
Yeah. Phantom Blade Zero. How can I describe this game? It's kind of like blending. It's a third person samurai action game, but it has like the aesthetic of a FromSoft Bloodborne Souls type game.
it's
And like the action is like really cinematic and fast paced and brutal. And it's a weird combination of different aesthetics and vibes, but it all comes together to create this really rad looking game here. And
yeah,
I just want to real quick read the description they had on the PlayStation blog because I think this is a perfect way to describe it. In Phantom Blade Zero, your soul, an elite assassin serving an elusive but powerful organization known simply as the Order. He was framed for the murder of the Order's patriarch and gravely injured in the manhunt that ensued. A mystic healer managed to save him from death, but makeshift cure that only lasts for 66 days. He must find out the mastermind behind it all before his time runs out against powerful foes and inhuman monstrosities. And the team, they call the art direction Kung Fu Punk because of just all the combination of everything that we got going on here. They say that it's a semi-open world with multiple maps of reasonable sizes. And this was done out of necessity due to the limited resources they had, and making maps more handcrafted with diverse activities avoids having a large world with reused and repurposed assets and all. And as they say here, like the combat, it's really intense and cinematic, and they say it's inspired by the kung fu movies of the 1990s. And like when you watch the gameplay, it's so clear to see that what
yeah.
it's clearly inspired by.
It feels like aesthetically, it's like Bloodborne meets Samurai meets like kind of Metal Gearish. I get those vibes.
Okay.
Um, and then combat wise, it feels like it's going to embody the all gas, no brakes mentality, which is probably where you were like getting a little bit of Bloodborne, and this seems like a lot of offense, no defense. And that
Yeah.
is 100% right up my alley, baby.
Yeah. Like it
Yeah,
reminds
this game looks rad.
like Bloodborne mixed with Sekiro, kind of sort of in terms of vibes. And then when it comes to combat, it looks like flashy and fluid, like something you might see out of like a platinum action game. Not as like over the top, but just in terms of the fluidity and the like how cool the moves look, like that type of vibe you might get from a platinum action game. So I
Yeah,
was like really all in on this. I'm like, oh, this looks awesome. This looks sick. I am very much interested in this game. All we know is
yeah.
it's a
I was like,
PS5 game, though. We don't know any other release information, unfortunately. But
was this part of the graphic that Xbox tweeted out?
I don't know. I don't believe it was. It's possible it was, but I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
I might look it up here.
Yeah. Well, while you look that up, the next game here got a big pop for me initially, and then I went down, but I was still very excited on this. This is Sword of the Sea. It's coming from Giant Squid. It's the team behind Abzu and the Pathless. In this game, you traverse the world on a hover sword that controls similarly to like a snowboard or a skateboard, essentially. In the description they have here from the PlayStation blog again, you are the Wraith, resurrected in a desolate world and tasked with restoring life to it as you explore submerged ruins in the vibrant, varied cultures within. Surf through sinking tombs, mysterious shipwrecks, and petrified battlefields, and bring giant shoals of fish and creatures back in the process. But beware, this land is also home to massive leviathans that will stand in your way. It's coming to PS5. It's all we know right now. And this game, when it first popped up, initially I was like, oh my God, is this a Journey remake? And then I was like, wait, hold up, is this a Journey sequel?
Yeah,
And
I thought it
then,
was sequel for sure at first. But I'll be honest, Journey 2 would have been like I like Journey. I do think it's a little overrated by some people. This looks cool though. I'm into this.
yes, very much so. Very much so. Like once I realized I saw the guy that saw, I was like, oh, I know this isn't a Journey sequel at all. It's something different entirely. But I love the visuals. I mean, this
For
team, their visuals are always great. So
for
I'm
clarity though, um, both of these games actually were not on the Xbox graphic. So
got it.
Phantom Blade Zero, is that what it was called? I don't know. That
Yes.
game, the name is very generic, just by the game looking cool. Very generic name. And Sea of
Sort of the sea.
Sword of the Sea. is not on that graphic. The games on that graphic were Immortals, Ghostrunner II, Marathon, Metal Gear, Dragon's Dogma II, Alan Wake 2, Plucky Squire, Teardown, Assassin's Creed, Neva, Cat Quest, and Talos Principle 2.
Got it. But yeah, Sword of the Sea. I really like this one. I like the look of it. The visuals, absolutely stunning. It just bleeds Journey mixed with anything else. I'm into it. I really like it. And like I
Yeah,
played the
no, it looks
Pathless.
rad.
I played the Pathless a bit, kind of fell off it, but I loved the movement in it. The movement in it, with having used the bow and arrow to shoot to keep having your speed and everything. Really loved it. So I'm looking forward to this. The
It feels like
surfing stuff looks cool. Visuals
it
are
feels
on
like they
point.
haven't had like a real hit since Journey, so hopefully this is it.
Well, this is a different team than the team
Is
that made
it?
Journey. The team that made Journey is that game company. This is a different team, but like some of the people from Journey are
Oh,
here.
gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to this though. Hopefully it comes out sometime soon because I want to get my hands on that. Then we got the Talos Principle 2, sequel to the sci-fi puzzle game, Talos Principle, which never played. I know people like it though, so I'm sure this was a big one for a lot of people who are into that game. Uh,
Yeah.
oh, we know it's coming out this year though. You don't have
Yeah.
any.
I mean, good for those people. I Puzzles are not always my thing, but then again, I loved Entropy Center last year, so maybe I should give this a shot. I don't know. I may.
Yeah.
Timing again. But this is like, I don't know, puzzly. So I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see. It
This is
does.
that's a puzzle game right
It's a very
there.
pro cat game, though, I believe, right? So I think
Maybe it
there's
is.
a cat literally on the cover of the first one.
Ah, gotcha. Didn't know that. After that, we got the game, as you mentioned previously, Neva. This is coming from the creators of Greece. This one, it's interesting. We just had an animated trailer of sorts. This woman with these two wolves. They were like kind of walking around in the world, and then like this wave of darkness came, and they were fighting the darkness, and then one of like the giant wolf was killed, and then the woman is sad with the smaller wolf, and then that's kind of the trailer. It's coming next year. uh, I did not play Greece, but I know that people love the visuals, but we're kind of, I think I saw mixed reviews for the actual game itself. Uh,
Yeah.
that said, I think this one, it looks good. I mean, just going off the visuals and I guess what you could assume the game might be about of like maybe something to do with nature, protecting the world from this darkness of some sort. This seems like there maybe could be an interesting premise of sorts behind it. I'm into it. I'm intrigued by it, but we definitely need to see more in terms of like, okay, what is the game here that we got going on? What are we doing? So on and so forth.
Yeah. I mean, it looks gorgeous. Who knows? Yeah, I heard that Gree is like not everyone's cup of tea as far as gameplay. So I don't know if this will be the same kind of thing, but it looks super sick. Definitely being a game I'm interested in playing. Not like a for sure guaranteed I'll play it, but like does look very cool.
Yeah. After that, we got Cat Quest Pirates of the Caribbean, which real quick, I love the title. That's a very good title right there.
Yeah.
Uh I'll at the same time though, I will say because I was at work watching the showcase, this is the game where I was like, all right, let me do something real quick on my computer. So I was like half watching it. But what I did see, I was like, all right, it seems fine, cool, whatever. Didn't really tick any boxes for me in terms of like interested or not interested. I was like, all right, cool. That's a game that exists. Fine. But it's coming next year, PS4 and PS5. I don't know if it does anything for you in any way, shape, or form, but
No. But I will say Sony did them a favor because it's like it could have, I think, caught more flack than it has. We're not for the dog shit looking video game that comes immediately afterwards.
okay, okay. So after that, we got a new trailer for this game called Foamstars. All right, and I could not have had a bigger sense of whiplash from seeing Square Enix and then what the game actually is. And that's not to say that I think it's a bad game. That's not to say
It's
that
fine. I'm
I
here to
don't.
say it.
That's not to say that I don't think it could that Square Enix can make games like this. That they should make it. That they shouldn't make games like this. I don't think that.
I'm also
But
here to say that
goddamn,
as well.
but goddamn, I was like, oh, okay. We got a CG trailer and then actual gameplay in it. It's like a 4-player team based party shooter where you're in this city and you're using these weapons to shoot out foam to fight with, and use the
Listen,
foam to like
I'm
build the ground, alter the
I'm gonna save you some
terrain,
time. I'm gonna
make
describe
things. You could
everyone.
surf on it.
If you didn't watch it, close your eyes. It's Splatoon, but but Ubisoft made it. That's what this game is. It looks just as horrible as you would imagine a game that Splatoon but Ubisoft made it is. It's literally everything. You probably would come up with the god awful character models in your head that are present in this game. Yes, it's chaotic and as nonsensical and looks incredibly unfun to play as you would imagine. That's what it is. Truly, truly a fucking awful decision. Like, as much as I question the decision making of everything that went into the showcase by Sony, what I question truly more than anything is how anyone looked at this game with a straight face and was like, "This is a good like Cat Quest 2. Fuck it, throw it in." But Foamstars, how could you look this game in the face and be like, "We should put that in our showcase"? No, no, you shouldn't.
Yeah, it was a game where like watching it, I was like, this is an interesting addition to the showcase. Like, I probably wouldn't have put it in the showcase. I maybe would have saved this for something else, but not here. And I think it's part of what made it so odd is also, during the showcase, there are like the interstitials and stuff. Jim Ryan came out for like a moment or two and all like that. And I think shortly before this trailer came on, Jim Ryan had come up and said, "Yeah, we're here. We're gonna show you the future of what's to come for PlayStation 5. Here you go." And then like not long after that, we get Foamstars, and it's like, okay, interesting addition here. I mean, it's not first party, but still interesting
Yeah.
thing to use to show off
Side
what's
note,
the future of PS5.
side note, get Sony, please, for the love of fucking God, get someone more likable than Jim Ryan up there. Like Jesus Christ, you're lucky that you have the studios you have because Phil Spencer is so charismatic, such a nice dude. Like genuinely, I wish they had like a better stance on physical and were not dropping the ball because God, it's so much easier to root for that company at this point than fucking Jim. Like nobody's asking Jim Ryan to get up there. We'd all be fine if like a way more charismatic person under him,
Herman
whose
Hulk.
decision is not to, who doesn't necessarily make the calls, but is still going to visibly be kind of the face of PlayStation. Jim Ryan does not need to be the face of PlayStation. I'd rather there be no face than it be Jim Ryan. No offense, Jim Ryan. You don't seem like you know what the fuck you're doing every time you get in front of a camera. I seem like I'm more comfortable in front of a camera. You want me to be the fucking face of PlayStation? I will. You can literally get anyone else.
Oh man, yeah. This it
Side
was
note,
a.
would there ever be a more shocking moment in your life if I somehow got enough internet fame that I was the face of PlayStation?
I would be like, what? How did this even
Be like,
happen?
he's truly made it.
It's not even Greg Miller was the face of PlayStation. It's you.
Yeah, I
It's
know,
you.
right?
How did that happen?
Like Greg's been along too. Greg's been around too long. He's shown his nipples on the internet too much. We need someone that hasn't done that.
Not even been blessing Adeoye Jr. Not him. We went straight
Yeah,
to you.
Blessing would be great. Yeah.
Uh, but no, Foamstars, like it's like you said, it's very reminiscent of Splatoon. In terms of like premise, gameplay, seemingly. I think there's something there that could be interesting. I'd have to see like an actual uncut match, see how that plays out. Maybe actually play a match or two myself. It's a game where I think there's potential. It just like showed at the wrong time, and
Don't
no
lie to
one was
yourself.
expecting
Join
it.
me in Hater City. It's a lovely
I'm
place.
not joining
I've
you in
got
Hater
beachfront
City.
property.
No, you can have your beachfront property, okay? Your beachfront property. You can have your $10 million mansion over there in Hater City as well. You can
I'm loving
own.
it.
You can
I am
own Hater City. All right.
you
I'm
let
not gonna
people.
join
It's the meme where it's people say it's it's free to be nice. Guess what? It's also free 99 to be a hater.
you. And you love being a hater. You love
I
being
do
a
when
for
the
hate.
opportunity arises and it's against something. I love when things are great and I can be positive about them. But the second that shit turns, it's time to be a hater.
Well, we got some positivity right here after Foam Stars with the Plucky
Yeah,
Squire. Another short trailer for it. We got a bit more
looks
info.
so good.
It does. The storybook world is called Mojo. Your character of what's the character's name? God, I'm blanking on the main character's name in the game. But your main character, we learned his friends. Friends' names are Violet, Thrash, and then Pip. Pip is this little mouse guy that you have with you, and you're going up against the villainous sorcerer named Humgrump. They showed more of like gameplay in the book, gameplay outside the book. It just looks amazing. Still does. It's coming this year. This year, very very much looking forward to that game. It's gonna look awesome. It's gonna be great. And then right after that, we got Teardown, which is like this voxel visual based heist game. I described it here, Minecraft with actually good visuals. Not a dig at Minecraft, but you get what I mean here.
Yeah.
Where destruction is playing a big factor in it, seemingly like destroying things to get like the right route to whatever you're trying to steal and all. Using different vehicles. It seems really interesting. Apparently, there's actually a PC game I think that's coming to console for the first time with PS5. So it seems cool. It seems like it could be interesting. I gotta watch that trailer again. Maybe learn more about the game. I don't think it's a game that I would play per se.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
But it does seem like an interesting, cool game nonetheless.
Yeah, if you're like, I like Minecraft, but I want something new. Seems like maybe this would be for you.
Exactly. So then after that, we then got another trailer here, a CG trailer that if you follow leaks, you knew what it was from the start. But even still, this trailer kind of took its time to get to the point. That being,
yeah, I think you said you knew what it was from the start. I certainly didn't. Most people certainly did not, based off all but the last 2 seconds of the trailer.
I knew what it was. Like as soon as it started with all the rumors and everything, Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Because I mean, it wasn't just me. Like, there's kind of funny dudes. Like, everybody was, I think, pretty fooled by that trailer. Like, they did not realize it till the very last minute.
Nah, I was so positive. I was like, all right, we're in a forest here, okay, and like we're following these things. And I bet this is Metal Gear Solid because I knew Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. It takes place in this jungle and all. So I was like, just the way the trailer was going, I was like, bet money this is Snake Eater. Like, so confident of it. We're just waiting on the snake reveal. And at the end, we get the reveal of not even Snake, Big Boss. My bad. Big Boss just come on out into the moonlight.
You were right about that, but I was right about the naming of this, and I'm very and like how they were going to proceed with it. And listen, folks, I fucking told you. You heard all those leaks. Jeff Grubb was right about that, but you weren't right about the naming of it, Jeff Grubb. Guess who was? And it made too much sense. It's almost one of those things, being a casual and not having played the Metal Gear series, which I'm definitely going through these ports. I'm stoked about that. I don't want to have to bust out. I love retro games, but I also love it to collect it. I honestly just want to be able to play everything on my PS5.
Yes, I'm very happy about that as well.
I don't have to bust out the fucking PS3 to play Metal Gear Solid 1. Sick. Like, I can't, and it's physical. Hell yeah, let's go.
Yes.
But like being casual, but knowing just enough that like 3 is technically 1, but that's not how it works, blah, blah, blah. And the second I heard that the remaster was going to be 3 at first, I was like, no, they're not keeping the name 3. That makes zero fucking sense. And like, but nobody was talking about it. And that's where I saw that moment. I was like, balls on the table here. This is what they're going to do. And sure as shit, I was right, baby.
Yep. The name of the
biggest pop for me, being right.
Yep. The name of
I was excited about it. And I was like, yeah. And I thought, this is the moment the show turns around and we get a bunch of cool Sony first party stuff. I was very wrong about that, folks.
The name of this remake, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. And Konami says it is, quote, a faithful recreation of the original story and game design while evolving the gameplay with stunning visuals and a seamless user experience. It's a next-gen only game, or new-gen only, I should say. So PS5, Series, XS, PC. The original games trilogy, as you said, it's coming to PS5 this year, most likely Xbox as well. So Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3. It took, like, people have to do some digging, but it's basically ports of the HD versions of those games, I think. I don't think it's like a new remaster of them, based off of what I've read and my understanding, which some people might have been a bit disappointed by. But hey, you're getting the original trilogy on modern consoles. Okay, yeah, take the wins you can get when it comes to Metal Gear Solid right now.
I also think it's wild that PS3 cell architecture has everyone in a stranglehold, because no Metal Gear Solid 4 confirmed. It's like, holy shit, is this game really going to be locked to the PS3?
You know what I'll say, though? I saw this Reset Era thread before the showcase happened. It was actually about this, like, oh, I wonder if like Metal Gear Solid 4 will ever come. And in the thread, I mean, granted, this is just one thread, but I saw a whole lot of people say, like, honestly, fam, like, you can keep it there because, like, most of that game is like cutscenes anyway. And that's kind of like, people are also like, the story there wasn't even all that great, kind of went off the rails and stuff. So, like, honestly, I don't care too much if it comes or not. It'd be nice to have it all in one place, but like, it is what it is to be quite fair. Uh, so that's just one perspective on things, but
Yeah.
it's cool. It's still cool nonetheless that we're getting the trilogy and then this remake as well. And I think they also said that the original voice actors are coming back as well, so
Yeah.
people are
Hater
happy
was, I
about that
think,
with David Hayter.
yeah, I think he was confirmed first, for Big Boss. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like how on Twitter, under like every post Konami's put up about it, Jeff Keighley's been there just like, who made the game? Who's the team making the game?
I didn't know he was
Who's
doing
the
that, but that's funny.
he's done that, and it's just like Konami's just like, nope. And honestly, after you had said your prediction about the number not being in it, I thought to myself, I was like, what if they're taking the number out and replacing it with something else so that they don't have to give him like full proper credits?
Ooh, didn't even think about that. But that's, I mean, probably might be a good point.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
possible because they say Delta. They did Delta because like Delta represents some sort of change or something like that. They said that was the reason for behind Delta being the name. But honestly, I was like, I wonder if they're trying to like somehow get around giving him full proper credits because they're like, oh nope, 3 isn't in the name. It's just Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, not 3 Snake Eater. Although everything else is Kojima. I wonder. I wonder. Might be conspiracy theory thoughts, but just
Yeah. I mean, them starting off here is just like an interesting, like, I thought that was evident that there was going to be some change instead of going the original plot lines route. So, or not plot line, but release date, because obviously 3 was always plot line wise, technically ended up being always the first.
yeah,
It'll be interesting though. I'm super stoked to play the original trilogy this
yes.
fall, and I'm curious when this game will actually release. What we got would indicate maybe that it's not coming anytime soon, but also now that it's confirmed on Xbox, I would be surprised that it's potentially on Xbox, but I wouldn't be surprised if Keighley gets it for Summer Games Fest. But then again, I don't know if it's against Kojima. It's like it's interesting.
He would never do that because he has too much loyalty to Kojima. I don't even think he tweeted about this announcement like he did all the others during the showcase.
That maybe it's so here's the thing. If it's not somewhere else in the next couple weeks, it's a long way out, would be my prediction. If it's somewhere else and Sony was like, well, if we don't get exclusivity, we want the announcement, I could see that. And then like the gameplay trailer, or like I could see Konami kind of working with it, like, listen, it's gonna be multi-platform. And they even let Sony pick, like, well, would you rather hold off and get the gameplay, or would you rather go first and get the announcement? And Sony being like, we'll take the announcement because that's
Yeah,
got more of the fervor and the excitement around it potentially. Um, Even though obviously the gameplay is more substantial of what it looks like, but who knows?
yeah,
I also wouldn't be surprised if we're not getting this game till fucking 2026.
yeah. I mean, they released in-game screenshots of it, so I mean, there is a game there in some capacity right now. I mean, I'm betting 2025 probably. That just seems likely in my head. Um,
2024
2024
doesn't
could
seem
be possible.
crazy.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
doesn't. It could very well happen. I'm just saying 2025 to be safe. I think that's a safe bet right there. 2025.
I think the ports are obviously confirmation that it ain't this year. Um,
Yes.
but because like why else would? Because if it was gonna be this year, you have to release the ports would be more of like a shadow drop. Um, but the fact that not only are the ports coming this year, they're taking the time to physically print those bad boys. Um,
Mm,
Means that like yes, this it was all kind of like pre thought out. And I take that as next year, most likely, but I could see 2025 or like I mean I wouldn't be surprised if this shit is far as hell out.
yeah. After that, we got a trailer for this indie game, Towers of Aghaspa. Which
Agaba, I thought I don't know.
it's Aghaspa. I don't know how you
Agaspa.
pronounce it. maybe a gospel. That sounds better. But the trailer, it showed like humans in this different world. You kind of have to like rebuild the world essentially. So rebuild civilization and then also rebuild like nature in the world and stuff. They're like large beasts there. You got a glider and everything. It's coming next year. It it seems like it's not. It is a game I will not play. I know that for a
Yeah,
fact because
same.
I'm not into it. But it seems somewhat interesting to maybe crafting survival game type fans out there. Not for
Was
me
this
though.
announced that this was made in Unreal? Because it has the exact Fortnite glider animation.
I don't know, but I mean, maybe it was.
Because I
Perhaps.
that's what I remember taking from this trailers. I was like, that that's the Fortnite animation for the glider.
After that, we got the launch trailer for Final Fantasy 16. I was like half paying attention to this because no shades to the game. It was more so because this game's out in a month, fam. I'm trying not to see too much more of it. Like I will play it when it comes out. Uh, no
Yeah,
demo shadow drop.
I had to run to the restroom at this point in the showcase, and I was like, this is it. This is the time. Yeah, I'm gonna play this. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, all right, this is your bathroom break moment. If Foamstars already was not. Um, Alan Wake 2, though, that came right after. And man,
It
I've never
looks
played
good.
Alan Wake, but damn, this game looks crazy.
Yeah, I can't wait. This was a bummer though. I didn't realize till later that they're not releasing it on physical,
They announced that
which is
after the
like a
fact. Yep.
big. I feel like this is a big title to do that. I know THQ Nordic reached out afterwards, because I guess
Yes.
they worked with them on like the PC release back in the day, trying to potentially team up and get that. I hope it happens, because I love my physical. I own a physical copy of the remaster. I'll get a physical copy of the OG one day. But yeah, I playing it when the remaster came out. I was hyped. I was hyped for the announcement trailer, and this just looks so good. Like I am legit excited for this game. It's in October. Love it whenever horror games do the October release. I'll definitely be paying.
I predicted that Summer Games Fest, Jeff's event, would give us an October window. So I was
Yeah,
right, just the wrong place. And we got October
yeah.
17th release date this year, PS5, Series X and S, and
It is
PC.
kind of odd too if they have exclusivity. Why this wasn't Silent Hill?
Probably because it's not ready yet, not ready to show more of it.
But it's like, how fucking far out is that, man? Like they had
I
it just. If we can talk macro for just a moment, it feels like this is indicative of is there I don't know if there's not a lot in the chamber or if everything in the chamber is so far out that like they just wanted to put they wanted to get the multiplayer stuff out there clearly. They were trying to get people excited and I think it had the opposite effect outside of maybe marathon. And they were trying to do short-term stuff like what's coming out in the more immediate future. With like the only like Konami is going to announce Metal Gear no matter what. So you want to get in front of that and you want to have the announcement. But like as far as internal stuff, we want people to be excited about multiplayer and we're going to wait till it's way closer for everything else, which is like, man, when is this stuff coming out? Like I didn't necessarily expect Wolverine this year. I didn't think it was out of the realm of possibility, but like, is that not 2024? Because if so, you showed that shit way too early, you know?
Yeah. I I have thoughts on that. I'll give those thoughts after we're done going over everything. Um but yeah, Alan Wake 2, I've never played the first one. I know of it. I know of the basic premise of it. I just never played it. Uh but man, this game, like they when they said this is gonna be more of a horror game, like they were not lying. This like when it first started, I was like, oh, is this some story focused Outlast type game? But then we saw I forgot we saw something or I was someone no, it was a
I
dialogue. I
thought
was
it
like,
was going to
no,
be
no.
something Silent Hill related.
I thought that briefly as well, but then I listened to the voice. I was like, oh wait, no. This is Alan Wake Raider. And this
Yeah,
is
the
looking
second
like
I heard his voice, I
wild.
was like, "Oh,
I was like, this is looking wild. It was like
it looks
visually
good." Yeah,
looking really good. And like they have said that new players you can jump into this without playing the first game or having any prior knowledge or experience. I'm not a survival horror person, and I've said this recently about other games. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I want to play it. I just never do, but I want to play this one. It's looking
yeah,
pretty damn good.
yeah. It
Then
looks good. I really liked the first one. Have it in even without the nostalgia or like whatever. I just playing it fresh in 2021. I think it was, I forget when it launched, but yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm pumped for this.
Yeah. Then we got Assassin's Creed Mirage, a gameplay trailer. I don't know if I'd say I was impressed by it, but I enjoyed watching this trailer because I was like, man, this is like the Assassin's Creed that I missed. It was so cool seeing gameplay reminiscent of the Assassin's Creed's pre-Odyssey. So I was like, hey, this looks fun. Am I gonna play it? Not right away because I still haven't even played Valhalla yet. But man, I was like, this looks cool. It looks dope. October 12th this year, very soon. So looking forward to that one right there. Um, and then after that, we got this indie game, Revenant Hill. It's coming from this team, the Glory Society, which I think made Night in the Woods, I
Yeah,
believe. Uh, Interesting trailer, kind of just showed a cat running through a bunch of different environments and coming across people that will be in the game. The PlayStation blog gave more of an actual idea of what the game is. The year is 1919. After the barn he was living in burns down, Twigs the cat takes up residence in a wet log near an abandoned graveyard. When the owl from the next hill over starts demanding rent, Twigs must find a way to make ends meet, and things just get more complicated from there. And then read more of the blog post to talk about kind of like help building up a society of some sorts, building up a city or a town or whatever. Uh, Interesting game, interesting premise. I don't think the trailer did enough to really sell people on it, but interesting idea there. I
yeah,
have to learn more for sure.
um, yeah. I've heard Nine in the Woods is great. I wanted to play it, and then I just never did. But yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I don't really have much to say about it. It seems like it'd
yeah.
be
I'm just kind
interesting.
of like, yeah. It looks, I think it might be fun.
And then we got two more quick hits here. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink got a release window, I should say, winter of this year. If you're into anime style JRPGs, little speed right up your alley. And then Street Fighter 6 got a trailer for its World Tour mode, which makes the single player seem way more epic than I ever thought it was going to be, even after playing the World Tour, the demo myself. Uh, that was a hype trailer. But then we got this game Ultros, which seems like a 2D Metroidvania type of game, maybe some roguelike elements in it, with this really psychedelic art style that I am
Yeah,
all in on. Like, I really, really like this art style. And it's coming next year. Where you fall on it? Because I know you're kind of, I think you can go like back and forth on Metroidvanias. But where do you
yeah.
fall?
I like the style itself. I'm not the biggest fan of, but this does look cool. I was listening to the recap, and I think Tim Getty said it really well. He was like, "I want to like this game more than I like it currently, and that could change." But it's like something seems off about it, which I
Fair.
agree with. It was like not enough to get me like excited, but I was like intrigued and my interest was piqued. So hopefully, hopefully it proves me wrong. There's nothing wrong with it, and it's just a great game. But yeah, like it looks interesting. I'm into the art style. Hopefully, it ends up being pretty cool. But I was like, yeah, I'm into it, but also a little like, something feels a bit off. But
Yeah,
hopefully, it's good.
same.
Not being a hater of this could be this. I'm hoping. I hope.
I'm sure you're a hater of Tower of Fantasy. This game was a weird one. The trail I rewatched the trailer today and I was like, that wasn't a good trailer. It was kind of the trailer seemed like it was bouncing around between a bunch of things. There wasn't much cohesion or like a straight flow in the trailer. It seemed odd. Uh, it seems cool though. I mean, it seems like maybe it could be something interesting, but that trailer didn't do it any service to me at all. Anime style, open world, JR. I don't know. It's weird. Like it's real. Didn't really get a sense of what this game was. Uh, Dragon's Dogma 2 though. I never played the first one. I know
Yeah,
people
but
are
it
hyped
looks.
about the sequel. This looks dope.
Yeah, I'm happy for people that are into it. I do want to check it out. I have the original game on PS3. I think they did a like remaster on 4. Maybe
I
I'll
think
check it out
so.
that way.
I think so.
Um, but yeah, I mean, hey, it's people have been talking about it forever, and now it's finally here.
I was surprised that we saw a gameplay considering that we just got the announcement not long ago, and the announcement was, "Hey, we're going to show T-shirts saying that the game is in development." So the fact that we got like this lengthy gameplay reveal of sorts was like, "Oh, this game is way farther along in development than I thought it was."
Yeah,
So that's awesome. That's cool. Very happy for that one.
but I
Uh,
mean, it's been rumored for a couple years now, so
it had been. That's true. That's true. But even still, like I figured it was just thing like people are rumored that it's happening, but it's not like actively in development. I didn't think it was actively in development until like the T-shirt reveal. And so I was like, oh, okay, now it's actually happening.
No,
Like,
yeah,
oh
that is
no,
clearly not the case.
no, clearly. Bunch of quick hits here. Five Nights at Freddy's Help 1 and 2, late 2023 this year. Then we got a bunch of PSVR 2 games. Resident Evil 4 showed that game in VR. The remake, Resident Evil 4 in VR. Gameplay of the opening section is what we saw. Arizona Sunshine 2, that's coming later this year. It's a zombie game, seemingly like in a desert type environment. It means in Arizona.
It looks terrible.
That's the trailer. I don't know if that trailer had any gameplay. I think it was all just like a
Yeah,
CG
I'm saying
trailer.
just like from the tone, like I'm no thank you.
Then we got Crossfire Sierra Squad gameplay trailer for that. Seems cool. Synapse got a gameplay trailer and a July 4th release date. We saw this at the last State of Play. It's that VR game where you're like in the mine, very action heavy, using psychokinesis to throw people around and things around.
Yeah, I
It
mean it does
seems
look cool.
really cool. Seems very, very cool. And then Beat Saber out on PSVR 2 now with a Queen music pack. That was a dope trailer. I mean, Beat Saber trailers are always fun because the music they just pick for the right trailer. It's just like, all right,
Yeah,
cool, having a good time. Then we got one of the bigger announcements, first party wise here. Bungie popped on out. New trailer for Marathon. They're bringing it back, bringing the IP back. It's not a single player shooter though, like the original was. It is now a PvP extraction shooter. And I gotta say, when this popped up, I was like, ooh, I was wondering what it is. I was like, I like the style, I like the vibe, I like the music that we got going on. And then it said Bungie. I was like, oh my God, this is a new game from Bungie. I got my wild prediction right. Wild prediction. I nailed it somehow, some way I did. Uh, Here's how Bungie describes it. A sci-fi PvP extraction shooter, Marathon will find players engaging one another as cybernetic mercenaries known as runners, exploring a lost colony on the planet of Tau Ceti 4 in search of riches, fame, and infamy. The game director, Christopher Barrett, he says, Marathon is designed from the start as a PvP-focused game and won't have a single-player campaign. Instead, with the PvP experience as our foundation, we're creating opportunities for player-driven stories to unfold, stories that are integrated with the overarching game narrative. We're building a world full of persistent, evolving zones where players create their own journey with every run they take. That might mean an unforgettable firefight against another crew vying for the same loot, or a last-second extraction while beset on all sides. Stick with me a little bit more here. Beyond just the story of your last run, however, we want to give players the chance to affect these persistent zones in the larger world as a result. For example, imagine a crew discovering a previously undiscovered artifact that, when activated, opens a new area of the map for all players to explore. In essence, we're creating a game where the actions of players can have ramifications for the world and players with each unfolding season. End quote. I'm super into this. I've never played an extraction shooter in my life. I kind of have no interest in them really. But you take Bungie, you take the sick vibes and aesthetic of Marathon and the tone, I'm into it. I think I want to give this a shot.
yeah. I mean, I'll probably try it. Like, I'll at least try it because I mean, it's Bungie. The shooting always feels unparalleled. Um, and I mean, everything's going this fucking way. Unfortunately, it's all live service. But thanks a lot, Bungie. It's all live service shooter shit. And I like first person shooters, but I do not like live service games. But I'll probably give it a shot because Bungie, it looks cool. Like it actually looks like it has style. Whereas
Yes.
something like Fairgames to me does not. Um, but this looks pretty sick as far as just that goes. And yeah, it's Bungie. So at the end of the day, I don't think like this is detailed, but we didn't get any gameplay really showing any of that. So it's interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how far out Marathon is specifically.
Yeah, they put out a Vidoc, which is basically Bungie's like developer behind the scenes type documentary type things. It was talking about the game and everything, and they said that yeah, after the announcement, we're gonna go dark for a bit of an extended period of time because the next time we come back, we like right now we're gonna work on the game, work on tuning things, play testing, and when we come back, we want to come back with gameplay and be closer to launch. So that says to me, we probably won't see gameplay until next year. Maybe end of this year if we're lucky, depending on what the
I know
time
I
frame
take that
is.
as
But I think it's
I think you're
next
right.
year
I
more
take that as
so.
next year. and that's either fall slash end of year, fall winter 2024, either for release or I could see a beta that year, like at end of year next year maybe, and then a full release in like spring of 2025.
I I think I think the full release could be spring 2025. I think for her, it depends. I think the full release could maybe be spring. I could also see it being end of next year though, because I'm trying to think a bit in also in relation to Destiny expansion and release time frame as well. Since the next Destiny expansion will likely be releasing end of February, beginning of March next year. So I'm trying to think about where Marathon would fall in place of that as well. Um, so I'm thinking it could release end of next year. That's possible depending on where they are in development for this right now. Uh, but yeah, I think it's a while out. I think of the live service stuff we saw from PlayStation first party today, Marathon is the one that has the most excitement and the most promise behind it, and the most, all right, you get the pass on the CG trailer type thing because it's Bungie, we know you, we trust you, and all. And what we saw seemed so visually, just seemed so bold and had so much personality and style behind it that people are like, hey yo, we're down for this. Yes, it's not the Marathon that people might have wanted for the original Marathon fans. Yes, people might not have wanted an extraction shooter from Bungie, but they're willing to give them the benefit of the doubt because they are Bungie and they know that
Yeah,
there's so much pedigree and trust there that was like, you know what, we'll take your time. We're here to see what you got when you're ready to show it.
yeah,
And it's important to note: PS5, Series X and S, PC, full cross-play and cross-save. Very important things to note right there. I'm into that. And then after that, we actually got a short teaser for the next Destiny 2 expansion, the final shape, coming next year. The shortest of teasers revealing that Cade 6, who died in the Forsaken expansion, is returning with Nathan Fillion voicing him. How he's returning, we don't know. But the trailer also showed Ikora, Ray, and Cade are seemingly on the other side of the portal that the Witness opened inside the Traveler. Who knows? A whole lot of questions to be asked and answered. But a showcase for the final shape has been announced for August 22nd. That's where we'll get more information about this, of course, and the future of Destiny 2 as well. Because right now, the final shape is the last expansion for the current saga. Who knows what's to come after that for Destiny 2? So we'll hear more about that in August. Very excited about that. Um, Here's a announcement that's kind of a nothing burger. Concord. This was Firewalk's new game. This is the other first party studio that Sony recently acquired. We knew they were working on a multiplayer shooter of some sort. This trailer was a CG trailer that showed a spaceship going through some sort of lightspeed travel. We saw some interiors of the ship. We heard a woman's voice saying, all right, people, get ready. It's time. We're about to be at our spot. And then we just got the title, and that was it. It's coming to PS5 and PC next year. And I think on their Twitter page, on a post, they said that the full reveal is coming next year. This did nothing for me.
Yeah, why did this trailer have to be here?
It didn't need to be. This is the one trailer that I am like very much down on, because I'm like, it was a CG trailer that told us nothing about the game at all in any way, shape, or form. Like, you could get on Fairgames for being a CG trailer. Yeah, sure. But at least give you an idea of, okay, it's like a 3-person team based shooter of some sort where you're doing heists. You got to have a general idea of what the game might be, even if you didn't.
My problem is Concord could still be some. Concord could still be something I like. I pretty definitively know Fairgames ain't it for me.
That is fair. That's very fair. But this just did nothing at all.
Yeah, no, but this was pointless and useless. Yeah.
Yeah, we could, like, this was here solely to say, hey, they're making a game coming next year and it's a shooter. But we easily could have done without this entirely. Easily could have. This and the Gran Turismo movie sneak peek that came right after it, which I skipped over entirely. I was like, okay, skip. Moving on. And we're going to skip it now as well. Then we got to the final 2 announcements of the showcase. First up, the accessories. We finally got confirmation of the PlayStation earbuds that have been rumored for a bit. Connects to smartphones via Bluetooth, can be used with your PS5 and PC. The case for it actually looks a bit like a PS5.
Yeah.
But then the bigger one Project Q, the Q Lite that was rumored, has been confirmed. It's coming later this year. This is that handheld streaming device that was rumored not too long ago. That was gonna be like this 8-inch LCD screen. Would have like the DualSense controllers with it. It have all the features as well. Let you stream games to your console through, I mean, to the device through remote play. That's exactly what this is. We didn't get pricing, no specific release date, just that it's coming later this year. Can I say this? My thoughts on it still the same as it was before, except now this thing looks dumb. It looks dumb.
Like, it's not the sexiest device out there.
Like as I saw someone on Twitter do, they took it and then they
literally snapped it in half. Yeah, they were like,
they took it on Twitter. Someone on Twitter had the picture and then put the Ultra Hand goo from Zelda from Tears of the Kingdom onto the thingies. I was like, yeah, it just looks dumb. It doesn't look elegantly made, like sleekly designed at all. Like you said, like they just took the DualSense and kind of stuck it onto the side, and like that's it. And like that's not to say that it might not be comfortable. I'm sure it'll be comfortable. The DualSense is a comfortable controller. It's just a dumb looking design for this.
It is, but is it comfortable? And what is the price? If this thing
battery.
The battery is going to be like 4 to 5. I heard.
I heard rumors about that, but the pricing is important. Like this thing cannot be more than 150.
150 was the sweet spot I was thinking of too. If they have the audacity for this thing to be like fucking $300, you are smoking crack cocaine, and it's not happening.
No.
200 might be the more realistic, because I'm thinking you set the expectation. What does a DualSense cost? 70.
Exactly. And then you think about the screen as well. Like, okay.
I don't think the screen costs 80 to make, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's the line they're trying to sell us. And so it's essentially like, oh, it's like $50 in profit. So I could see 200 and I could see some people biting. For me, that's tough. For me, 150 is like, I'll buy that. 200's like, it starts to make me question anything more than that. And that's the easiest no of all fucking time. Like, 150, it starts to become almost like an expensive impulse buy. Like that's I can find reasons to get that and blah blah blah.
I can make reasons to justify this purchase.
200, you're like really starting to look at anything above 200. Just that instinctive survival part of your brain goes, that's stupid. Like, you're like, I don't need that actually.
For $100 more, I can get a Switch.
Yeah, or you start anything over 200 in the Steam Deck enters the conversation.
Exactly. Like for this, where it's only streaming, only remote play. Like the best use scenario for this is using it in your home when someone else wants to use the TV, or you don't want to get up to go to the living room. You just want to stay in bed. That's the best use scenario for it.
And not wanting to use your phone, for the backbone.
Right, having like a proper screen, still having the DualSense features. Like there is some use case scenarios for this, yes, but like you gotta weigh like the pros and cons of this thing. Like for 150, you can do it and like not hate yourself. For 200, you might hate yourself a bit, but not too much. Not so much as if you paid more than $200 for this thing.
Yeah, my prediction would be 150 would be nice. They don't usually price these kind of things at 175, but that would be like a fair compromise. I feel like after tax, you're still under 200 and everything. I like maybe you do that, but it feels like they always tend to stick to that halfway point or the full point. So I would guess to hope for either 150 or 175. And man, if they're stupid enough to do anything above that, like this thing is going to bomb like nobody's business.
Yeah. Like, it's just, you just gotta hope for the best. Hope for the best of this thing.
The backbone is 100. You're setting yourself up as the glorified version of that for like how we kind of covered this when it was rumored, but I was like, who's the market for this? And it really did come down to just like, if you don't want your phone or you don't have a nicer phone, but you do have a PlayStation and you're just kind of like, oh, well, and I think it's still the same. And me just wanting all the Sony products, like I will buy that if it's reasonable and find a use for it. Like I probably will, instead of buying, because I want a backbone. But now this, I'll wait for the pricing. If they're like 250, 300, nope, instantly I'll go and I'll buy a
Mhm.
backbone because that's what I'm doing instead. But if it's like 150, it's like I don't have to use my phone. I have to wear the battery down or whatever, and I can just keep this thing charged.
Yeah. Like the only place I would use this outside of my room, because my PS5 is in my room. So like, if I'm in my room, I'm playing my PS5. If I wasn't gonna play in my room, it'd be the kitchen. But my kitchen has like absolutely garbage internet, so it's like there's no
Well,
use case scenario for this in my house at
if
all.
it can connect, if because I know it says it has to be connected via Wi-Fi, understandable. But if you can connect, because like I believe with the backbone, from what I've read, you can connect. You don't have to be attached to the same Wi-Fi network as your PlayStation. So if
Yeah,
that's the case here, you can definitely make an argument. It's like, while it's not a native, you know, like a Switch, but it is, as long as you can hop on when you go to someone else's house. If you're on vacation and the hotel has decent Wi-Fi, being able to hop on your PlayStation and anything that's downloaded there, while it's not a full streaming device, it's not the best of the best. It's, I can play my PS5 games somewhere else. That
yeah,
at least starts to it adds on another use to it, Especially I
yeah.
imagine if you travel a lot, but you do go to places with Wi-Fi.
Right. Final one of the show, though, the one that we all knew was gonna be here, and at a certain point, like, well, this is gonna close the show out. Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Uh, it looks awesome. It didn't disappoint. Started off with the trailer introducing Craven, teasing him, bringing him into play and all, and then we got a lengthy 10-minute gameplay demo. Craven's crew hunting Dr. Connors, and it starts off we're in Queens. You can play in Queens. You can explore Queens, and Peter comes on out this house. Craven's crew is there, and you're like, oh, this ain't good because Homeboy is wearing the black suit. He has the symbiote on him. Damn, that is intense. That was brutal.
Yeah, some would say this gameplay demo went on too long. I would be one of those people. Um,
Fair.
but I'm glad that it definitely didn't end after that Craven thing. I was like, I swear to God, if this is all we get is Spider-Man 2.
Oh yeah, I was like,
Um,
no, we can't do that.
do they just I hope it's just not the same song and dance with the symbiote shit as it has been previously. It's the fucking Peter goes bad, the church bells, he gets it pulled off of him. Only this time Miles is there. Like I hope there's something different with it. It'd be interesting if they stick to, like, is Peter Loki the actual villain of the game? What does Miles end up having to fight him towards the end? You know what I mean?
I
Like,
saw someone speculate. I wonder if Peter actually ends up being Venom, and I'm like, I don't believe that's gonna happen. That's a very radical departure of like the symbiote story and just Peter as a character as well. Like, I don't think they would ever do that. Like that's very different.
yeah, but like they did tease that we actually get Venom. So best case scenario, unless you're gonna do a radical departure in Peter's Venom, best case scenario is that we get this song and dance over with quickly. It's just like a relatively short period of the game, and this is like in the beginning, and then we swap over quickly. But it is interesting though. I think it kind of damages, unless Venom is in the game so shortly. I think it damages the Osborn is going to be Venom claims, because Osborn in the trailer, someone had noted, they talk about him being sick and everything. So it
Yes,
seems like he already got the symbiote. It fell off him, made him sick, or however that ended. He's not doing well, and then Peter took the symbiote. So it's possible we get like three people with the symbiote within this game. We have Osborn, Parker, and then whoever actually becomes Venom, unless Venom's either in the game a very short time because Osborn is Venom, then Peter gets it, and then it's gone. Or I think more likely they both got the symbiote, and then we get a Brock or a Flash.
I think I think it's could go one of two ways. I think it can be either that Eddie gets the Eddie Brock or Flash Thompson. But I think if they're gonna do it, maybe they go Eddie Brock just to start it off, as like the symbiote, as Venom. I mean, as Venom at the end
Yeah.
of it. Or I think it's also possible that it ends up going back to Harry because he might need it in order to stay alive. Period. And he ends up having some sort of resentment towards Peter, or the symbiote does in some way, shape, or form, and that just elevates him into turning into Venom.
That that is the least interesting version to me, simply because then it feels like you forced the Peter with the symbiote arc instead of just going keeping Harry with it from the start. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know though. I'm interested. I think Insomniacs are under trust, but I just, man, can we not get the same song and dance that we always get?
I mean, I feel like it'll be the same song and dance to an extent, but at the same time, the dynamic will be changed up some because of the characters that are in play in the story that Insomniac, the universe that Insomniac has shaped here. So like Miles is in play here. He wasn't in play before at all when Peter had the symbiote in any prior
Yeah,
installment. Um, Again, just the fact that Harry is the one who had it at the start, and just like knowing, I mean, I'm sure that they find out that Harry had it in some way, shape, or form. I mean, maybe, probably. So like understanding that dynamic and like what's going
yeah.
on there and all, how Norman plays into factor with all this. Like the song and dance might be the same, but I believe and trust that, as you said, Insomniac, they've made a great story, great universe here, and I feel like they'll do enough to shake up that normal song and dance, the symbiote story, to make it feel fresh and interesting. Like so many people are calling it right now. I bet at one point you're gonna have to fight Peter as Miles,
Yeah.
to like snap him out of whatever the heck he's in right now. Or maybe you fight Miles as Peter, and like that just goes badly, and then you end up snapping out of it some way, shape, or form. But like there will be things to shake up that dynamic, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays
I
out.
wouldn't be surprised if that fight you play as both sides.
Like a Last of Us type deal.
Yes.
That
But
would
like
be
not like,
sick.
oh, not dramatically leading up and swapping it. More just like a in the moment. Like you start off maybe as symbiote Peter, and then like once you've got Miles on the ropes, it like does a quick time event and then puts you in control of Miles to
Yeah.
finish the fight.
Speaking of Rogue playing as them, they got new powers here. Peter, of course, he
Yeah.
has the symbiote abilities, which those are looking freaking brutal and everything. Miles has some new Venom abilities as well, the blue Venom right here. And I noticed that we see the L1 and the R1 abilities. And it looks like the L1 abilities are ones that are like on a timer on a cooldown. So you use it, then you gotta wait for it to recharge it all.
Yeah.
The R1 ones don't seem like that. Of course, we'll have to see more, but I like the new abilities that we're seeing from them.
Yeah, they
As well
looked
as
cool.
like the new gear that we have, like the new like Miles, he used one where like he shot out a thing at a wall and then it made a rope for him to be able to traverse on. And
Yeah.
also like the other one where he tossed it down and like it brought all the enemies together. That seemed cool. We got the web wings for gliding as now in the
That
city.
looks sick. Yeah.
Like when he did the super slingshot and then flew, and I saw like, oh man, this is what they were talking about with like being able to use the PS5's SSD to be able to get to the city faster. I was like, oh man, like just swinging through the city is so much faster. The flying is so much faster. Like it looks super cool. It looks so freaking cool. Lizard, I like his design too. His design like much more big and beastly than I ever imagined him to be.
Yeah.
Bigger than we've ever actually seen him before either. Like typically, like he's a bit big, but not like
He's
this
traditionally
dino type.
portrayed as like two human beings, maybe two and a half. This guy seems like he's like four human beings.
Yeah, like he looks pretty beastly. So I'm in on this. And again, all we know is fall 2023. We don't have any doing more specific of a release date
Yeah, I
than that.
wonder. I wonder if there's like it's taken a little longer, and that September date is like not as locked in. And Sony's like, well, the second we lock something in, marketing team goes. So if there's a chance this thing slips to October, November ish, we've got to we've got to err on the side of caution release date wise, because I'm sure they're like, we're not fucking moving this once we get a date, once we got marketing locked in. So chill on the announcement
Yeah,
of the date.
yeah, yeah. And that was the showcase, really. So my here's my take on it. Okay, if I was to grade it, it'd be B minus C plus, one of the two. It's in that realm because again, I don't believe that it was a bad showcase from the perspective of the games that were shown here. I think the games that we saw here were, to me, all interesting. They're all pretty good looking for the most part. I was into them. Yes, was it carried hard by Spider-Man at the end? Yes, 1000%. That aside, though, I still was into everything else that was shown. But It's the fact that this was the first showcase that we've had in like a year and a half, damn near 2 years at this point. And we've been waiting to hear more about what's going on with Sony's first party studios. What's going on with Sucker Punch? What has Ben working on? What else is Sony Santa Monica working on? What's going on with Naughty Dog's factions? Which spoiler, real quick, actually not spoiler.
Not going good, yeah.
Yeah, like they put out the Naughty Dog put out a statement the day after the showcase saying, "Hey, we decided the game needs more time, essentially, you know." And then Bloomberg came out with a report saying, which I haven't been able to read in full, but essentially like, yeah, development on the game is not going wasn't going all that well. Uh, they've been working on it for a long time. Once Bungie got acquired, Bungie was brought in to assess the game, and they said, yeah, it's not really all that engaging here. More needs to be done with it. And then after that, like developers were basically pulled from the game, put on other projects and all. So right now,
I,
factions multiplayer not in the best state at all, and I would not be surprised if it gets canceled at some point. I don't think it
it seems like
will.
the logical, smart thing to do.
It does. I don't think it will get canceled because it's Naughty Dog. Sony wants it. You know, I'm sure Naughty Dog wants it to happen. I'm sure Sony wants it to happen. So I don't think it'll get canceled. But logically, at this point, you're like, you know what? Honestly, cut. I would say cut your losses and focus on the thing that people really want, which is the next single player project. What they did confirm, they are working on a new single player game. But as someone who never really, you know, my investment with factions is more so from the sense of I know Naughty Dog makes good games. I know people loved factions. I would love to see them get, a second factions. I personally played factions once or twice and never touched it again because I didn't care for it that much. So I would prefer if they just focus on a single player game and not do factions at all. That's my take on it. That's neither here nor there, though. Where is that
Yeah.
game? There are all these other things we've been waiting for from first party that we've been expecting to at least get an update on. And basically none of them were there. What's Bluepoint working on? We haven't seen anything from them since Demon Souls. What's Team Asobi working on? We don't know. And it's like
Yeah.
because we didn't get at least one or two of these other first party studios giving updates in any way, shape, or form. It's just like this is what we have to
Because
show.
because the games themselves were by and large not bad. My grade is a C minus.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you factor in expectations, I think there's an argument that this is a D, as in it barely fucking passes. Almost failed. Um, but I'll to be a little bit, and I'll explain the only sense of optimism I have, which is because there is a doomer point of view. But I think optimistically, what you can go is, especially first party, the only thing they announced that was future looking was multiplayer stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They clearly, especially single players, seem to be keeping a lot of stuff close to the chest until it releases. Why they're making an exception for multiplayer, I don't know. Maybe they felt like they had to show something. But again, that's like your own internalized feeling. Like, would more have hyped build if we didn't have one until next year? Yes, but also it probably would have had more to show next year. Wolverine definitely would have showed up. I assume, God, please let Astrobot be there. Like I can't do it if it doesn't show up.
Real quick, would you be fine if Team Asobi was doing something that was not Astrobot but still a platformer?
Yes, still a
Okay.
platformer. That
Okay.
was the caveat. Not Astrobot would hurt, but if they were like, we want to do this platformer, I would trust them because of how good the two Astro games are.
Okay.
It seems like they like Astro and Sony.
Yeah, yeah.
Sony has to know that this is like they've got their mascot or they've got their kid's mascot.
Yes. Yeah, they have to know that.
Kratos is the adult mascot. Astro's the kid mascot. But
Yeah.
yeah, I want Astrobot deeply, but like it was not as much about, oh, the things I wanted weren't shown. It was more just like, what the fuck are you doing? What is being worked on? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
they're holding it so close, but my hope is really that it seems like it was just a bunch of stuff that's coming out within the next year,
Mhm.
and beyond that, like they're keeping it kind of secret outside of the multiplayer stuff, which I know that there's like expectations, but I think it's just different with multiplayer, right? It's not as big of a thing because once we see it, it's like, oh, that's the game. We'll get it
Yeah.
in our hands in a beta form. Whereas I think story, single player games have kind of a little bit more of a hype, and this just like giant peak, and then it comes out, and then it's like a not downhill, but it's like then people stop talking about it. Multiplayer, because it has, a constant and everybody's playing it constantly. I think there's less of like a mystique around it, and more maybe Sony thinks they can just get it out there so people know what it is, and then they'll slowly, the drip feed is more okay with that versus a single player stuff.
Yeah. But with the multiplayer stuff on this, with this showcase, you got to think about the fact that the three multiplayer things that they announced, all shooters, all live service games. And you got to remember, Sony said, yeah, our live service games are all going to be different types of games, different genres, not going to be all the same thing. And then the first time we see any glimpse of what that stuff is, it's three shooters, three PvP type shooters. And one of them, people are very confident in. One of them we know literally nothing about, and one we have an idea of what it could possibly be. But there's still a bit of hit or miss because of the tone of that type of game. So it's like this wasn't even necessarily the best showing for the multiplayer live service stuff that they're working on either. So it's like when you take that into account as well, it's like, man, you really dropped the ball here. And I think people. I mean, at least maybe this is just me. I think this is PlayStation community as a whole are willing to give the benefit of the doubt with PlayStation, as opposed to how if Xbox did a show like this, people will be harder on Xbox than they would on PlayStation, because there is that ingrained trust, that benefit of the doubt you give PlayStation, similar to how you give that benefit of the doubt and the trust in Nintendo, because okay, we're not seeing these new first party single player games you're working on, but we know the pedigree of your studios, so we can trust that they will probably be up to par, up to a certain standard of quality when we do see them. Whereas Xbox, it's like, you gotta show more. So that's why I'm not as hard on this show right now. But I will say it was still like disappointing not seeing the stuff that they're working on. No. But I trust that it will be fine when we see it. I'm not doom and gloom just yet.
Is this the true COVID year where COVID's come back to bite Sony in the ass? Because thinking about it, this is the first year without two major first party releases, right?
Yes, unless there's another one.
I'm not crazy. We haven't had anything so far, right?
Yeah, unless there's like supposed to be unless there's another one that they are not announcing yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like all we know is Spider-Man.
Yeah,
and it's like
right. And you think about it, COVID, the games that either started development in COVID, so let's say 2021, 2022, would probably only just now really be in a full-on production type phase, especially if there's a whole lot of mocap involved as well. Like, God of War and Horizon, they ended up being delayed because, hey, we didn't have access to the talent, or access to the talent was difficult in terms of mocapping stuff. So, like, that's why they were delayed, but they were able to come out because they were already so far in development by the time COVID happened that, yeah, work from home played a factor in things, but they were still able to get past the finish line. I imagine that the ones that we are hoping for right now, it's like they might have been like in between phase of COVID hitting them and all. So, I mean, that's why I'm saying next year and the following years, I imagine we're going to be getting bam, 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 bam. It's like a scatter shot, not scatter shot, but it's like first party releases back to back to back to back to back. Just hearing a bunch of first party releases.
Yeah, because like despite everybody's criticism, and there is a weird amount of criticism of like modern games and blah blah blah, but like Sony's kept at least two a year. Like we had 2020. I mean, absolute, that one was just an unexpectedly large amount, a wealth of riches, because you have Last of Us 2,
Ghost of Tsushima,
and then for the launch you have literally fucking technically Astro's Playroom technically, Sackboy, Demon Souls, and Miles. So you got like 6 first party releases technically that year.
And Spider-Man Remastered as well, if you want to count that.
Yeah, I mean that one.
If you couldn't even buy it
individually, so I would say let's just bundle that in with Miles. Yeah. And then 2021 comes and you have what?
Ratchet Returnal.
What was fall? I think they had a fall game that year too, I believe.
I don't remember. I feel like they did, but I can't remember. I'm looking over at my collection right now to see if there is
I'm like,
one.
yeah, let me go games coming out and
I can't. I don't. I can't recall. But maybe Kana, if you want to count Kana, but that's not first party technically. But
yeah, it's
um,
and Kana's finally on Xbox now, right?
no, or
Is it
maybe it
not?
is. I don't know. Perhaps it is. I don't think it is.
Returnal. Maybe they
Um,
didn't actually. Maybe that was kind of the start of the
oh,
whole.
I know. It was partnerships. So Deathloop was in September.
That's right. Yep.
Kana was also September as well. And then beginning of 2022, then you get Ghostwire in 2022. We get God of War, Horizon, Ghost of Tsushima, not Ghost of Tsushima, Gran Turismo. Uh,
Yeah. And then they had also had and then they also had Last of Us part one
Part
or
one, that's
whatever.
right. So this is the
Versus
quiet year.
yeah, this is the quiet year, which is weird because of how deep we are into the console's life cycle. The only first party that traditionally kind of has this weird of a year, technically four, but really it's three. But the only console that ever really has this weird of a year three is like sometimes Nintendo will just, oh, we're putting out basically nothing this year. Sony and even Xbox, really, that's like kind of untraditional, but especially for Sony. But I think we might really just be seeing the ramifications of COVID just now. It's created this awkward bubble year, where it's like Insomniac was able to push through because they're fucking Insomniac and give us Spider-Man, but everybody else is like, yeah, we need more time. We don't have shit to show you. Like, and then you're seeing the ramifications. I'm sure Sony in an ideal world would have liked factions to not go the way it was,
Yeah.
and that's their other release this year. But yeah, it is kind of odd that we haven't had a spring one because it seems like that's their intent normally is at least bare minimum spring game, fall game.
Yep.
No spring game. They do have Spider-Man, and I think maybe that's some of the sense we're feeling too, right? There was nothing in this spring window to kind of fill and absorb that. Like, yeah, we had Horizon DLC, but like that's not a game, that's
That's where
not
the
gonna
and that's where the third party partnerships come into place. That's where you get Final Fantasy 16s come into play. I feel like there's another one for this year
is
that I'm
16 not
blanking
out
on.
on the Xbox though?
Nope, PlayStation exclusive. That's where your exclusive
You got to
partnerships
give
come
them
into
credit for
play.
that. I guess that is a good money hat. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the third party exclusive partnerships come into play. Those moves right there to
Well,
fill in the
sometimes
window, to fill in that gap.
partnerships are different than just money hatting an exclusive, which
Well, so that's what I'm saying. These third party exclusive games that they have like that, like yeah, that's where that
yeah,
comes
like
into
nobody
play
gives
right
a shit
there.
about playing. I'm sure there are calm down Xbox fans that are mad that like you're playing if you're playing Ghostwire in 2023, but it's like I do think it's a good game. I genuinely enjoyed that game. I'm glad people get to enjoy it on Xbox, but you don't really get to count it as like something in the chamber for 2023 if you're Xbox versus Sony did as a game I played and enjoyed on my PlayStation last year. So
Yeah. At the end of the day, though, I feel like it showcase overall final thoughts on it. Not a terrible showcase. I thought it was a good showcase. A lot of cool games there, a lot of good looking stuff, but it was disappointing from Sony's first party. Sony's first
I think
party not showing there would definitely left this giant hole in the showcase of like, man, we were hoping to see more from you all, and we saw, as I saw someone else say on Twitter, I left that showcase knowing basically the same amount of stuff about Sony's first party that I did going in, and
yeah,
that statement rings so true.
I think the showcase itself was very mediocre, very okay. I think the with the expectation set, it was disappointing.
Yes. Do you think that we get another showcase before the end of the year, or do you think it's just state of plays? And going off of that, do you think we also hear about at least one of Sony's other first party games before the year is over? I think we do.
No and no.
You
Um,
don't think we get any more state of plays this year?
oh no, so I think we get state of plays. I think we get a Spider-Man state of play
For
and
sure.
maybe a third party one.
Okay.
I don't think we're getting any like a traditional state of play for a mini one, and then kind of the Ragnarok version of the Spider-Man state of play. I think you can basically book those, um,
Yeah.
giving us an official date, blah blah blah. And maybe one more look, maybe like a final trailer or second to final, whatever, because they release a billion of those things right before launch. But like the definitive next trailer, that
Yeah.
kind of like a cinematic and encompasses everything. release date and maybe more gameplay, but who knows?
Yeah.
And then probably whatever theme controller that my dumbass will buy. Maybe a theme console, even who knows?
Showcase though, you don't think showcase is another showcase is happening?
But definitely not. I don't think there's no chance in hell because I think they would have just not had this one and done a September one if things were going to be done enough to show it off in September or October. I just think November, December, not really most. It seems like most manufacturers and publishers don't. That's not their preferred time to show stuff off. That's their preferred time to, if they're going to release it, release it. Ely's kind of cornered the market for all of those type of announcements at that time of year with Game Awards. So maybe we get Game Awards. We get but I don't know if Sony would let, maybe if they feel the backlash from this a little bit, maybe they give Keighley something. That would be how it happens, in my opinion. And I don't think they'd give him anything like big, but if it's Astrobot, if that they deem that small enough and it's going to release in a weird timing where they're like, we're not going to do another showcase before it's ready, and this will give us more eyeballs than just announcing it on its own. Here, we'll hand it off to Keighley, and it's coming out fall 2024, and they're like, well, we're not going to do a showcase next year. So is this a state of play? Do we hand it off to Keighley? How do we ultimately go about that? Or maybe it's some other smaller game. They're not giving him Last of Us Part 3 or whatever Sony Santa Monica is working on. But yeah, something of that Astrobot kind of scale where it's like, there'll be people excited, but it's not, you don't need to build a showcase around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like Team Asobi or Blue Point maybe could be out of the Keighley thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm of the mindset that I think we do get at least one other first party announcement from before the end of the year. I think we do. There's definitely going to be state of play, like you said. There's definitely going to be a Spider-Man state of play for sure. There's probably going to be another general state of play with multiple different types of games in it. As for a showcase, I lean more towards no. If another one was to happen, though, potentially September. And I go back to 2020 when we had 2 showcases that year. Of course, that's a different year. They had to promote the PS5 to get all that hype cycle going. So we had one in June to announce the PS5 and one in September announcing more games and stuff. That's a very different case. I understand that entirely. I'm just not saying, I just want to say, I don't think it's out the realm of possibility for them to do it again after, how long it's been since the last one and the reception to this. If they have all the other games that are loaded in the chamber, ready to go in some way, shape, or form, but just weren't ready for the May stage, perhaps a couple more months, they are ready for a September type of stage. I'm not going to put the realm of possibility. Yeah, but I'm leaning
to be wrong.
I'm leaning 80% no, it's not. We're not getting another showcase. It's just going to be state of plays, but we will get 1 or 2 more first party announcements before the year is over.
I'm not saying it's technically impossible, but I would say I'm 95% sure it's not going to happen. There's that 5% of me that's like, crazier things have technically happened.
Crazier things have. Like Foamstars for you being announced and existing as a game. All right. We're going to start wrapping this episode up. We're going to do 2 things first. Okay. 1, I want us to share a few hot takes that we have, because you're a hot take type of guy. You got takes. Am. So I want you just to share a few hot takes. Okay.
Yeah, shoot them off. Here, let's see. I don't have any ready to go, but I mean, I can always manufacture 1 or 2.
Okay. Here's one that I'm going to say that kind of actually goes well off of the showcase we had today. A Vita 2 that many people have been asking for would be an utter failure today. Here's my reason
100%
why.
agree. I don't even know if that's a hot take. I think the hot take would be like, it could work.
Here's my take on why. Handheld gaming, as we used to know it, is dead. And it was killed by the Switch. Like, you could say mobile, sure. The Switch 100% put traditional handheld gaming that we think of in the ground. Because now when people think of handheld gaming, they think of playing your game on the console and taking it on the go. Playing your console games, your big games like that on the go. Sony is not going to do that with a Vita 2. They're not going to make a game. They're not going to make a system. Well, one, they're not going to make a second system and have to split their focus between that. I mean, they already did with VR, but that's way more niche than handheld gaming. Handheld, Sony's always been about console quality games on the go. They're not going to split that again. No. And then also, they're not going to make a console or a system similar to the Switch that can be like a hybrid of sorts, because then that already limits the type of games that they can make. And they're not about that. They're about making bleeding edge, high end, best of the best. And you can't do that with a hybrid type console. So a Vita 2, if a Vita 2 happened, whether it is handheld only or this hybrid thing, it wouldn't work out. It just wouldn't. It would be a failure. And the Switch and Steam Deck are to thank for that. And I'm not blaming them. I'm not saying damn the Switch, damn Nintendo for making handheld gaming what it is now. I'm not saying that. I love the Switch. But for people who are clamoring for a Vita 2, oh, I want a Vita 2. Oh, it'd be so great. No, it would not work out. It would be a failure. It would be disappointing to you in every way imaginable. Because you would be sitting there saying, man, why I want to play my game on the go? No, it's not going to work out like that. Sorry.
Agreed.
100%. Let's see. Another hot take I have. Again, these hot takes I have, you may not feel the same way, may not think they're hot takes or just have much interest in the hot take, but COD in a space and or far future setting was great for the series. That was arguably the best thing the series ever did. And it is a damn shame that people ended up turning on it the way they did, because now
that was like Infinite Warfare, right?
Infinite Warfare was the space far future one. Black Ops 3 kind of sort of, but Infinite Warfare, space far future. That was like the best thing for the series creatively. Like Call of Duty, I remember before we had Advanced Warfare with the boosting and everything, people were saying, man, Call of Duty is so big, so getting stagnant, it's getting boring. It's the same thing each year. Then they switch it up. And now it's like people like just turned on it instantly. Like, no, we don't want this. We want boots to the ground and all like that. And it's like after a while, like it gets old and samey. And that's not to say like I love Modern Warfare 2019. Modern Warfare 2 that came out 2022. Great games. I like really great. I love the way they play. I love the way they feel. But because people reacted so strongly to the futuristic Call of Duties, Activision, I don't see them ever touching that stuff with a 10-foot pole ever again, because people are going to just flame it and hate on it, even though there's so much creative potential in a space setting, in a far future setting. And it's just a damn shame that we'll never get back to that ever again. Damn shame.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have, because I didn't play Call of Duty for a long time, so I don't really have a horse in that race. I don't have a say in that, but I will say that does seem very hot take in general. I think, yeah, like you said, it is not revered. That is not considered one of the good ones by the general public. So interesting that is your take, but I can't say it's right, wrong. Like I just don't have, I didn't play that. I definitely did not play that generation of Call of Duty.
I mean, I think the campaign in Infinite Warfare is definitely one of the better campaigns in the series, period. The multiplayer, I was on. Like, I'm not talking strictly about like the quality of that game. I just mean like the creative potential of that setting and that type of gameplay. Like, so there's so much there, and now because the fans shat
it's
on
pretty
it, it's
stagnant
like,
even
well,
now. Like,
exactly.
I mean, I played it. I'm enjoying it because I haven't played it in forever, but I can't imagine playing every year and just being like, oh, well, more of the same. This is fine.
More modern day, more in 80s, more 70s. Can't go into the future again because people just shat on it all. Let's see. Another one I have. Smash fans, y'all gonna hate me, but Brawl is a better game than Melee. It just is. It has the better single player.
Okay,
it has the better roster.
That might be the most your scorching take. I'm not the Smash guy, but God, my eyebrows just got singed off with that one.
It has the better single player. Subspace Emissary shits on everything that the series has done single player wise. It just does. It has the better roster between Melee and Brawl. It just does. Oh, is the game slower? Yeah, so what? It's a better game. It just plays so much better. It's way more fun. It introduced online to the series. Was the online on the Wii garbage? Yes, it wasn't the best online. There was notable input lag. But guess what? It introduced it, and it was a solid game all around. Melee people, you all stick to it out of nostalgia and just like you can't accept anything that's not Melee. I'm sorry to tell you though, Brawl is the better game. Brawl was way better than Melee. It just is 100%.
All right, internet. I just want to establish that is his take. I didn't really play a lot of Brawl. I enjoyed Melee like a lot of people did, but I was not obsessed with it because fighting game Smash is not my thing, although it is fun. Um, but man, as I do respect as a hot take artist at times, I respect the ballsiness of that take. That is, like I said, you were just like, oh yeah, here's another. Those other ones were like, you open the oven, you're fine. That one, I opened the oven, it was like, it just fucking singed my eyebrows off.
This one, so this one is another hot take. I don't know if it'll be as hot. It's still a very hot one though. Final Fantasy 15 was always a great game from day one. That game was amazing. I know people say, "Oh, it wasn't a complete game. It was incomplete when it released. Oh, you need to watch this. You need to watch that in order to understand the story." No, that's a bunch of bull. Okay, that's a lie. Final Fantasy 15 from the very day it released was an amazing game. Yes, watching the King's Delay movie and the Brotherhood anime gave you more context and perspective for things, but it was all purely additive. You did not need to watch those things to understand the story of that game and enjoy that game. Was chapter 13 kind of rough in the original game? It was a bit long. It dragged a bit, yes, but it was still a great game. It did not like it was not this utter piece of garbage that people like made it out to be.
Yeah, some
Final
people
Fantasy
really dislike it.
15 is an amazing, amazing Final Fantasy game. It's an amazing video game. Oh, I hate the combat. It's just press hold one button. Maybe, but guess what? It's a lot of fun. It is very cool. And the world is awesome. The characters are the best. You cannot hate on the Choco Bros.
It's
they're just a J-pop boy band. Oh, go fuck yourself. Go fuck
it's
yourself.
funny because I think this is some of the dissonance between like general games media because I feel like it was relatively well received, thought of as a solid game, and then I didn't really know that it was considered bad until like later on because the Final Fantasy community is just like, ugh. So it's like that it's weird, kind of some of that dissonance there. I think I don't know the vibe I get from Final Fantasy fans is like expectations, right? Because they just want it seems like they have a hard time anything not being some epic grand story. The fact that it seems like 15 is a more smaller scale, kind of like
Well,
direct,
here's the
what the
thing.
vibe setting the
Here's the
vibe
thing.
is.
Here's the thing with 15. People wanted Final Fantasy versus 13, and instead 15 came out. And people still versus 13 fans will never let that shit go. And because they will never let that go, they will never like 15 off that alone. And then you have people that just play 15 like, oh, blah, 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 get over yourselves. Versus 13 is it's dead. It's never happening. Let it go. It might happen in Kingdom Hearts 4 because Nomura is not letting that shit go either. Who knows how it'll turn out? But oh well, 15 came out and it was an amazing game. Suck it. Deal with it. My last two that I thought of, they're both Kingdom Hearts ones. Atlantica and Kingdom Hearts 2 was a lot of fun. Yes, you go there and you're just singing songs and doing singing mini games. But guess what? God damn it, that was a lot of fun. Okay, I'd much rather have that than the awkward Kingdom Hearts 1 Atlantica gameplay, which was just utterly not fun at all in any way, shape, or form. That underwater combat was bad. It was garbage. It was not good. I'd rather take Kingdom Hearts 2's version over that. Also, reaction commands don't necessarily need to return to Kingdom Hearts 4. I know people are very excited about that, and it's a cool thing. I think I would much rather just keep the situation commands for Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 2's reaction commands are cool. I love them. But I feel like we just have a nostalgia for them, which is why we're like, oh, bring them back, bring them back. They're really cool. They're stylish and flashy. That's kind of all they were, though. And I would hope that if they are, when they are in Kingdom Hearts 4, that is reserved for specific moments and not all the gameplay because I really enjoy the situation commands in Kingdom Hearts 3. They were more fun. They were more useful. And yeah, those are my hot takes that I have. Those are the ones that I was able to think of this week. Do you have any?
I'll say some in this moment, but you saying that last part reminded me. I do have one monkey's paw for you.
I actually had one too that I kept. I never deleted it because I wanted.
But I didn't want to
forget
it because you reminded me of it.
All right, share it.
Kingdom Hearts 4 comes out. It's what you want. It's basically perfect.
Okay.
It's like you can't believe how good it is.
Okay.
But the trade-off is Sora is canonically a hard Republican. Like we're talking this motherfucker has MAGA merch for sure. And it's like you can't even be like it weirdly fits within the lore. So it's like you're so upset, but also the game, other than that, is everything you want. It's like, I can't believe how good this game is, but the linchpin for the creator was like, this has got to be in, man. He is the most hard right Republican you've ever seen, just the most insufferable human being ever. But other than that, this game is intense. I just imagine I feel like that your brain would implode if that ever actually happened.
If I it'd be one of those things where I'm like, I'm enjoying this, but god damn it, why is Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis summons for Sora in this game? Why am I able to summon them? Why is my Keyblade just why is it what it is? Why does it say MAGA on it? What is going
Yeah,
on
well,
here? Why is it the American flag?
just some of the most, yeah, just some of the most insane stuff coming out of Sora's mouth.
He's just sort of just like, time to get rid of the woke.
Why is Sora trying to make Goofy anti-vax?
He's looking at Donald. Why do you talk like that? Go back to where you came from.
Yeah, from
Oh
some
man.
NIMBY. Yeah,
Oh god. You know, I wouldn't want to play it, but I would because it's Kingdom Hearts 4. So I'm like, damn it. Like, I feel like I have to, but what the hell is what the hell even is this? That's a tough one. Damn. That's a good one. I like that. The one I
all
had for
right.
you when I was initially thinking of us doing that weeks ago, I only have this one, so it's funny how that worked out. Last of Us Part 3, okay? It's happening. The plot, it's focused on Ellie reuniting with Dina and their child, okay? She finds them at the end of the game. They reconcile, start a new life together. All right? Here's the but. And I was trying to think of something that I was like, I want
This
to
is
make him
interesting because
angry.
I'm not pro a third part.
I know, but this is why I was like, I was trying to think
Yeah.
of like how I can make this like, all right, I can, maybe you could jive with it. But here's the but. It's then revealed that everything that happened was just a dream, and Ellie is still by herself in a new community. That is
No,
the
just
final cutscene. Like you,
throw
you
the game in
do,
the fucking
you
trash.
go
I
through the
wouldn't want
whole
that.
game.
Yeah, that would
You
be
go through the whole
terrible.
game. Everything's cool, and then you like Ellie and Dina, they go to sleep. It fades to black, and then it just like hard cut to Ellie waking up, and she's by herself, and she walks
Oh,
out. Like
okay.
she wakes
I
up,
thought
she's
we
by
were
herself, and like this is the cutscene. And
I
the
thought we were
final
getting rid of the
cutscene.
events of 2.
No, 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 no,
Okay, no.
no.
As long as we keep those, I'm not against it. Listen,
Ooh, see, I wasn't
because
sure how
here's
you'd
the thing.
feel.
The Last of Us establishes that hope is a bad thing. That ultimately it truly is. It's you have to learn from your lessons, and I do believe it like ultimately cares about the relationships of people more than anything. But I think it does have a broad structural message of hope is bad. Um and I love a good downer ending. Like truly just they're some of the best when it's just like a gut punch and it's like, oh, you thought this was gonna be a happy ending, you dumb bitch. I love when games do that. Or movies, like anything. Like I think gut punches that take just a lot of intestinal fortitude where they're just like, people are gonna hate us, but this is what we want to do for our ending. Now, if it's unearned, it's different. This sounds a little unearned, but
It
honestly, for the
does.
shock and
That's
awe,
that's why
I'd
I was sitting
appreciate
here.
it.
That's why I was sitting here thinking. I was like, I could see him being like, "That's ballsy," but at the same time, rolling his eyes at like, "It was all a dream." After 30 hours, it was all a dream.
But if you made a game that we all truly love and then just troll the shit out of us at the very end, gotta respect it a little bit, you know?
I was like, you know what? This is eye rolling
It's a
enough where
good
he'd
one.
be
I
like,
like it.
this is so damn dumb. But I could see you
What's
just like
better is it's for
respecting
people
it.
that earnestly want 3. That's a true monkey's paw. For me, now you're just got my mind going like, oh, that is a good idea.
All right, see, I
Because it
was
would be, especially for me, it'd be a giant middle finger to all the people that actually want 3, right? Like, especially if Naughty Dog was like feels forced to make it because Sony's like, I mean, you could do whatever, but we'd really like The Last of Us, and we would maybe need to pull funding if another game wasn't going well. And so they're just like, all right, you Sony, and they were just like, it's all a dream at the end. I could get with that. That would be cool.
wow. All right. Do you have any hot takes? Any at all that you want to share?
So I was thinking of this one. Now, this is a little anti in character for me, but listen, it's not the sky is not falling. Um, I think a lot of people the video game is cyclical. The video game industry is cyclical, and I think people forget that sometimes. And I think with you've got to make reactionary content, and I think some people genuinely believe this, where it's like, listen, does it suck that Sony's making all these fucking live service games? Does it suck that 90% of what feels like future projects are live service games? Yes, undeniably. Not no other way to spin that than it doesn't feel fun. But listen, as we've talked about, as we've seen all of these games fail, there's just going to be a lot of failure. And they're not going to stop making video games because they make a shit ton of money. They make more money than movies do. And I think a lot of people feel like this is it. There's never going to be good single player games ever again. And I'm just like, listen, guys, this is all cyclical. Everybody's going to, and their mom's going to try and get a piece of the pie. It's going to suck. It's going to feel like there's less good single player games for a while, but eventually it all comes around. Like it's just going to be something else will become the cycle. And I mean, like people felt this way in the 360 and PS3 era. There was definitely a point in time where it felt like everything had to be multiplayer. There was tacked on bullshit and everything. And then the PS4 era happened as like a result of that. I feel like we got more single player driven stuff. There was less forced multiplayer. There was less, like in general, there was more passion projects that got to be made. And I think now we're maybe feeling the rubber band effect the other way around, where it was like the studios were like, okay, creatives, you got yours. Now we're going back to being money grubbing dickheads for a generation. And it's going to suck. Like, will that affect the PS5 and Series X legacy? I don't know, maybe. And hopefully it's not the thing that ultimately causes like consoles to become a little more relevant, but we'll see. But my general attitude, despite being pretty negative, is that like, hey guys, this guy's not following this. This just happened. It sucks. We got to take one on the chin and have a million dumbass Ubisoft looking live service games. And guess what? Just don't play them, and we'll come out on top, getting good games again later on.
Yeah, rational, logical thought. That's not allowed in the gaming community. What are you doing here? You
Yeah,
can't do
that's the
that.
hot take part of it, I guess, right?
Having a logical, rational thought, being like, no, this is fine. We'll be okay.
We'll be okay, guys. Promise.
Any others?
That
That's
and
it.
the forever one, Red Dead 2, overrated.
You see, I was trying to think of ones that weren't like Breath of the Wild's overrated because I was like, I've said those before on the show. I was trying to think of stuff that I was like, all right, do I really have any hot takes? And then I thought about the
That's
Smash
just my
one.
forever hot take. Yeah. I don't know. No, so here's the kingdom. I'm just the more I think about it, I'm like, it's not better than Breath of the Wild. I truly don't believe that in my heart. I think it is a insane achievement of like just the mechanics of how it all works and what they can throw into it. But I do think some of my biggest fears have come alive, and that it's just like too much of a sandbox. It takes away some of the structure and setting. Like the videos I see of what people can do at a certain point, I'm like, this just doesn't feel like the spirit of what a video game is anymore. And again, I'm not super deep into it, but like I feel like the more deep I get into it, it's more the insane stuff. Like that's just what the internet has showed me. So unless I'm extremely wrong about that, I personally vastly prefer the restraint, relatively speaking, that Breath of the Wild has.
This is a perfect segue into what we're playing then. I will say that what you're seeing on the internet is people that have like probably done duplication glitches out the ass to get a bunch of things that they can
Yeah,
use
somewhat.
to make certain things. Like that is like the super over the top, super like I'm sitting here for 6 hours thinking about how I'm going to become a mechanical engineer and make this stuff. Okay, that's definitely not the actual game at all. Those are the exceptions, not the rule. The rule is not like wacky out of hand and all like that. I can say that from like my 20 something hours with the game. Ever since ever since I last talked about it, I finished the Wind Temple. I finished that temple, that dungeon. That storyline was cool. The approach to getting to the temple was awesome. The temple itself was fine. I actually did like a portion of the. I was exploring a good portion of the temple without actually progressing the story to do it to actually complete the temple. I was like, how am I supposed to do here? And I was like, oh, I need to go talk to this person, right? And I talked to that person. And I was like, Now you can do stuff. And I was like, got it, cool. The boss for that temple, cool boss. If even if it was very easy, not a bad thing. Just a statement, just an observation. But
Yeah.
no, yeah, I've been enjoying it so far, and now I'm just like, all right, trying to decide where do I want to go next. Do I want to do the next regional phenomena? Do I want to go to do I want to go to Kakariko Village and do some stuff there? I'm trying to decide what I want to do right now, but I'm still really enjoying my time with the game, really having a fun time with it. I think it's a better game than Breath of the Wild. It's funny how we
Yeah,
ended
I
up on
don't get me wrong.
opposite ends of the spectrum on it.
I'm alone in that, or not alone, but I'm like, I am one of a few for sure that feels that way.
Yeah.
My brother, interesting enough, who Breath of the Wild is also his goat, has a similar. Without even me, like I was like, I kind of think Breath of the Wild, and he's like, it's better. And then like he, without hesitation in his voice, he's like, I prefer it. And I was like, oh, thank God. Like, but I think he feels of the way I feel about Breath of the Wild and like how I got to that lot. Like everyone, like it's an interesting game because it it can be your favorite for so many different reasons. And so I think some of the reasons why he liked it so much align with mine. So it's less surprising that he feels that way. Um,
Yeah.
and it's like interesting because a lot of times I have always felt like more is always better. And now I'm just like feeling getting older and being like, you know what? I do like a little restraint. And sometimes restraint is good. But I understand I am in the minority. And it's not to say Tears of the Kingdom is bad. People don't need to interpret it that way. But yeah, just like I think too much is possible. That's what I've learned now, guys. The tools they allow you to do, it's just too much. Shit's running wild.
Yeah. Well, that's gonna be it. That's gonna wrap up the final episode of the Play to Win podcast. Thank you all so much for watching and or listening. It's been a hell of a run. It's been a fun run nonetheless. Uh, I said it to I told Kieran this, that enjoy doing the show with him and everything like that. I've enjoyed doing the show each week, talking to whoever was listening, whoever decided to listen or watch, to talk about gaming news and all. Tyler, though, since you're here, I definitely want to give you the utmost thanks, props, respect, all that for coming in and filling in, not just, like for the 2 episodes in 2021 when Karen was out, and one of those episodes got just like sent to the ether because I forgot to
Yeah.
record it. But just also filling in for the past couple months when you didn't need to at all. You messaged me, you were like, hey, I saw the post. If you want, I'm down to, fill in until Kieran comes back. And at that point, it was initially just like supposed to be, okay, yeah, he says he'll be back, February, March. February, March turned to maybe April. And then April turned to, okay, you know what? I need to wrap this thing up at end of May.
Yeah.
And like I thank you so very much for being so generous with your time, your energy, especially given your work schedule and life changes and everything like that. Like you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to stick around for as long as you did. And I'm so thankful, so appreciative that you did do that. I had such a great time doing it with you. And although like for the foreseeable future, I don't plan to do like any consistent like podcasts or anything like that. I'm 100% down to come and guest on anything anything you do, any podcast you do, any show you do, any content you're like, hey, I want to do this. You think if you think I might be a good fit to collab with you on it, I'm 100% down to do that. If I could fit it in my schedule and all like that, I'm more than happy to. Because you've been great these past couple months, man. Appreciate you
Yeah,
so
for sure.
much.
Not a problem. It was a blast. I had a lot of fun. Um, yeah, I mean, I like to me, like the only issue ever was like getting up early. Other than that, yeah, I'm always down to get in front of a microphone and talk some shit. So and come up with crazy conspiracy theories and make some jokes. And it's video games. Like I take it seriously, but also you shouldn't take it that seriously. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just a lot of crazy talk and then a lot of also serious analysis. That's my specialty. It's what I try and bring. And yeah, it's been a blast. I totally get, yeah, it's like going from one host to the other, and then now everything's kind of in this weird state, and you're just, yeah, burnout's real. Like it happens, and better to end it when you're enjoying it. So
Yeah. With that said, Tyler, where can people find you on the internet?
yeah, good game. Just like earlier in the episode, if you're still around, thank you so much. Good game we lost. TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And yeah, like you said, it'll probably be about like 3 to 4-ish weeks. I'll start making content regularly. My goal is to get like a daily post, essentially. And maybe I'll start working on doing some like video essays or something of that nature, something more long form without having to be a podcast, just because having a podcast involves someone else, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm personally not at the point where I want to do a solo pod. So,
although you'd have the charisma and energy for it, I think you would.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
but
I
I
could
hear
run
you
like
on like
3 hours with Jeff Gersman, but like Jeff Gersman does. But yeah, I could in theory do like 45 to an hour, probably at least a week. But maybe in the future, if I get enough of a following, that's something where if you don't have a lot of listeners right away, probably really kills the vibe. You know what I mean?
You're just like, oh no.
Yeah, if I have enough of a following ever that it's like, oh, okay, I could make some money and do this, and I may, but like until then, or until I have a co-host, it'll be, short form and maybe some longer form stuff, but I'll be back to regularly posting in a couple weeks. So look for me there, guys.
Nice. You can find me on Twitter, Tyler Miller 2496. That's definitely follow me over there for any updates on anything I'm doing and all like that, because that's like me. That's my main Twitter. I'm always on Twitter all the time and all like that. So
yeah,
definitely find me there, chat with me there, and like see what I'm doing there. But also the comfyspot.wordpress.com. That's my blog. I'm going to be going back to there. So you can follow also the Comfy Spot on Twitter as well, for updates there and things that I end up writing, posting over there and all like that. Like I said, the plan for that, go back there. Thinking of expanding it onto YouTube, make it a channel as an expansion as an extension of my blog. All the intricacies have not necessarily been worked out. Even the start date necessarily hasn't been worked out yet, because right now I've just been in the mindset of figuring out other stuff, and then take a bit of a rest break, I guess, from making content after we're done with the podcast and all. But definitely by I'd say June, July-ish or so, end of June, maybe July or so, I'll be doing stuff over there. So Tyler Miller 2496 is my Twitter. The Comfy Spot is the Twitter page for my blog. Comfyspot.wordpress.com is the blog. I'll put all the links in the description down below. Thank you all so very much for watching and or listening to these past 109 episodes of the Play to Win podcast. I'll talk with you all next time. Have a good one.